Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, how's everybody? Good afternoon. I know I still always want to say good morning.
Bell Radio.
What's going on, everybody? How's it going? Do you know what today is, Brock?
Last News Max.
Yes, it is. I want to say out of the gates with you guys. A lot of you have come over to this show because you might have been flipping through the channels and you might have caught my Newsmax show that it airs on the weekends whenever they find time or whenever it does, whatever it is. And it's been a lot of fun and I very much enjoyed it. And then they put us on N2 for a while, for like 2 years, and you found us there. And then their commercial structure was so frustrating. Hi, Murtec, thank you. That you were like, I can't handle this anymore. And then you would email me and I was like, wendybellradio.com. And you're here now. And I'm super excited about that. I feel like all of these things that we've tried to do, that I've tried to do, they're all meaningful and they're all for you and for us to try to limp our way to 100,000. Okay. Alan tells me that we're woefully short. It looks like we're going to fall 9,000 short.
Wow.
I know. He sees us getting to 91,000 by Easter at this rate.
But you know what? Like,
which is a great number. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. And I don't want to aim low, right? I don't want to say that Brock's only going to make $4.13 an hour, right?
Oh, I got a raise. Look, you found out the same time as I.
Oh, thank you, God. Oh my God, thank you, God. Oh, thank you, God. I'll never doubt again. I'll never doubt again.
I hate everything about you.
Oh, that was funny. What's going on, everybody? Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's great to have people here. It's great for you to share us. So I got a friend of mine who I did a story on. His name is Jimmy Woods, and he was a hardcore alcoholic and drug addict, and he got hit by a car and it completely changed his life around.
Started his own business after that.
He almost died. Yeah. And he had a Jesus experience, and that was the moment that everything changed for him. And he started this business called Mission Mahi, and he travels around and he makes the most phenomenal mahi fish tacos you've ever had in your life. Okay. Beyond that, he counsels people who are in similar predicaments who need help. And he texted me out of the blue. He's in St. Croix or whatever. And he's like, a friend of mine just got in touch with me and we were talking and he made mention of your show, not knowing that you and I know each other. And I just wanted you to know that. And I was like, that's really sweet. Come make me some tacos and we'll talk more. But he's so great. And I was nice. And I was like, you have no idea how many people are paying attention to what you and we have created here. Because it really is. It's a group thing. You guys are a part of a group thing. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Right? Who's going to raid our show today? Or do you think we'll get Grant Stingy? I wonder why he did that. That's kind of weird to me. I think we should be raided more often. Don't you? How you doing?
So are we doing a Sunday show?
Sure. So we ran out of Wendy Bell Radio coffee. And the stuff that we're drinking, I mean, it's nice. It was given to us as a gift from the owner of the building. Merry Christmas. It's good coffee. Once you've had Wendy Bell Radio, Patriot Blend or Shizzle, ain't no going back. CrescentMountainCoffee.com, you guys. I'm telling you.
Still on pace to get the mugs on Sunday.
Oh. Okay, so now can you do a show or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they won't be there by then. Hopefully we'll have them up sometime next week. It all depends because to put them up, they need pictures taken. They need descriptions.
Lindsay's got to do jazz.
Yeah.
She's so good. She's the best thing that's come out of everything, Brock. That young lady. Good Lord.
Well, and here I am, chopped liver.
I assumed that you wouldn't put yourself in that category, but since you are a victim, then that's good. Thank goodness your mug says I wasn't invited.
I had no say over that.
Oh, please. You thought it was hilarious too because it's your line.
I asked for North is still North. Believe that's how I live my life.
And by saying that you weren't. Anywho, what else is going on out there? 40 seconds. Let's get these rumbles going today. Let's see if we can totally go up to 3.5 rumbles today. Let's see if we can do that. We've gotten 0 love from Rumble. It's all organic.
We're on the editor's box, but we're always at the end and we're the first to get booted.
I don't know. Why don't they like me? I'm so fabulous. I don't understand it.
I think they're preparing for February 2nd.
They're preparing for Dan Bongino, who should rate our stream. I'm going to text him. I'm going to be like, look, bitch. Here's how it's going to go, okay?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, America. Greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. Look, I'd say when you're here that you really are a part of our family. You know, that's not just talking out my rear. I mean that. I mean that what we're doing here together, talking about stories that matter and going up to 30,000 feet and looking down on the nonsense that is so ridiculous going on before us in this country. We do this together because we believe in one nation under God. And that's what we're working for on the show every single day. WendyBellRadio.com. It's easy. It's common sense, conservative values. And we invite you to join the live video stream. Okay? Join the chat. Come on over. We do the whole 3 things online, on video. And we're glad you're here. We're going to talk about Marco Rubio. We're going to talk about his great testimony before the Senate yesterday. We've got a lot to talk about. As Tim Walz and Jacob Fry, apparently they're a little bit worried. I'll tell you why coming up in just a moment. Welcome home, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, I was hearing some of these CNN news babes squawking with some financial people on their sets yesterday, trying to downplay the ridiculous success already in just 1 year that this Trump administration has had economically, right? And the gal, Erin Burnett, I think it was, all she could do was bitch. She was like Ilhan Omar, right? All she could do was bitch and complain, and she was upset about the cost of ground beef, and she was upset about this and upset about that. And I wanted to reach through the camera and be like, look, sweetheart, this isn't Donald Trump's doing. This is 4 years of the idiots that you people supported that now you're complaining about all the effects of. And I thought we should just, before we go anywhere today, just all remember we're on the same page. Don't you find it beyond remarkable that 10 years ago, private citizen Donald Trump made a decision to put his entire everything, including his life, in the crosshairs because he saw something that you and I probably did not. He saw what was coming down the road. He saw what it meant to the future of our country. He was worried about his children and his grandchildren and the trajectory of the greatest place on planet Earth, which everybody and his brother would love to see fail for whatever reason around the world. And that one man went down that escalator and he stood before the world and they mocked him. And they ridiculed him and they criticized him and they parodied him and they yucked it up and he won and they knew they were in trouble. Donald Trump saw the danger of the deep state. There's nobody in Congress who could run to do what he can do because they're all connected in some fashion. All of the roads that lead to and out of the U.S. Capitol building. Our senators and congresspeople aren't multi-gazillionaires merely because of insider trading. There are so many grifts, so many scams, so many ways to be corruptible. And that is the crux of the entire bribery and beltway or bribery and blackmail apparatus there. The one person not connected to any of it, who's so far out of it that he's the only one who could come in to fix it. And they tried to kill him. They lied about him, wiretapped him, created fake garbage about him, fake stories about him. Freaking Hillary Clinton masterminded that whole nightmare. Russia, all of it. You've been through it with him. And he came back. And he came back again. And they tried to freaking kill him. And he's like, oh, no. They have no idea. Donald Trump has a mission to fulfill because every single knife that was out was gunning for him. Donald Trump is the one who wants to take the woeful financial situation of more than 100 million Americans who literally have not saved at all for the future. And he wants to fundamentally change that trajectory. He wants to take us, and he campaigned on this, build the wall. They mocked him. Can you imagine if the $8 billion or whatever he asked for had simply been granted and the wall had been built? We wouldn't be in this situation. We wouldn't be paying out of our noses for people who shouldn't be here, who all of a sudden now feel entitled for the free ride to continue forever. Never would have happened. He told us before the caravans ever arrived, they're coming, and they mocked him, and he was right. The one person who I don't believe has been wrong, who I don't feel has lied to me, and who I do believe cares about this thing that you and I love so passionately. You can taste, and it's scary. And he's up against a beast. It is a dark and evil and greedy and narcissistic and afraid. And he is on the doorstep of crushing it. Look, they're going to throw everything they can. They'll make stuff up. Fake stories, fake women, fake allegations of fakeness, right? And the guy who came down that escalator, knowing that he was walking into the lion's den, but that there was nobody else who was going to be able to save the path of this country. There he is, fighting every day. He inherited all of this jazz, and they expect him to fix it. And he will. It won't be fast enough for them. It won't be clean enough for them. There won't be a thing he does that they won't find criticism with. But just watch. Watch as America comes back to what you and I want. I want my kids to have what I had. I want them to ride bicycles in the street. I want them to come home when the street lights go on. I want them to be dirty and sweaty and exhausted. Now, mine are grown-ups now, but I want this for you. I want fair taxes. I want safe elections. I want leaders we can believe in, not those who try to sponge off of us. I want danger found, arrested, and thrown out. And I want to be told the truth. That's it. I want to be told the truth. We have a lot to talk about on the program today. The president truthed out something not that long ago. Bad news for Gavin Newsom, but even worse news for the state of California, which 100% virtually Democrat rule has dragged into the ground and buried and is now stomping on. And this is what he said. More bad news for Gavin Newsom, the world's largest employer, Walmart, is closing 250 stores in California, citing $22 per hour minimum wage. This president announced yesterday the savings accounts for babies. Do you know what happens when you give babies who don't know any better $1,000 and then you give them the ability for other people to match that money, family members to give more to that money? It grows and it grows. And when you can't touch it, it grows and it grows beyond your wildest dreams. And then instead of being in debt, you're thinking about what you want to do with your money. You have dreams. The doors open. The sky is the limit. He did that yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. What a difference from the last 4 years, where everything was darkness and mandates and emergencies and browbeating, and it's for the greater good, and pay your fair share. America has paid its fair share, and we're ready for the golden age, my friends. And the left and the rhinos on the right who know what's coming are scared to freaking death. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, why is it that Jacob Fry and Tim Walz have legal defense funds? It's almost like they know. When we come back, let's talk about this. Ilhan Omar, thank God she survived that spritz of apple cider vinegar. You know who she blames for that whole thing? I'll give you one guess. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
I sent you a text.
Yes, sir. It's not registering on my computer. Why does that happen? It's like this weird delay between my computer and
Your phone.
yes.
No, people are throwing money at you.
You should. I'm worth it. Who do we want to talk about, Brock? Give me a name.
I will say I got an email this morning about Sniper.
It's right here. I got it right there. Sniper. What about?
And Amy, I think her name was Amy, was having a problem that with her order that it got broken or and she said, "Could you please send this to your Sniper team?"
Yeah.
She sent it to me at I got it at 6 o'clock.
You forwarded it at 6:01.
Right.
Yep.
And it's taken care of already.
Yes. See, customer service. You want to be able to do business with somebody who tells you what they're going to do and then they follow through. And the customer service at disinfectwithsniper.com is out of this world. So responsive. And the products are phenomenal. So the main product is Sniper, and it's this stuff. And you're like, I don't want to ship liquid. That's so expensive, which is why he's eating the you're not going to pay for shipping. Okay. No shipping at disinfectwithsniper.com. This is wonderful. Harmony, Knockout, all of this stuff on the website.
And
we use all of this. Best disinfectant. What?
Harmony is coming out. We know it's for bugs for around your house.
Yeah.
Harmony is coming out with one for your plants.
Oh,
for bugs on your plants.
ooh, I
So
like that.
That's coming out in, I want to say, March.
Yeah, probably right in time for the spring growing
Yeah.
season. I like
So,
it.
New product coming out.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the deer off of my hosta this time. I'm going to be like, don't you even think about it, you little turds. I've got that deer spray. Psh, psh, psh. Suck it. Then they walk over to you and they're like, disinfectwithsniper.com, disinfectwithsniper.com. It is, I'm telling you, if you want to deal with a business that
Cares about you.
is awesome, is just awesome. That's it.
So the Wolfman, $5 found you a few months ago, and you've been my new morning to go to. Thank you for the great show, North Jersey native, living in Phoenix.
Thank you.
ML Shannon 574, $20. New viewer from Alaska, loving the show. You are fabulous.
Aw.
And O'Green, $20. Great show.
Thank you. It's better than going to cheerleaders.
Oh. Grafe and Lady, $5. Ilhan Omar is coming out with a new perfume, Eau de Smollett.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good one. Okay.
Here we go.
Right? Fraud, abuse, the scams, all over the place. Every single zip code. We got some big ones out there right now, but this is happening in your community. It's got to stop, right? There is such a labyrinth of suck in this country. And I don't know. I think that's the whole bureaucracy too of government. When you've got so much going on, it's easy not to pay attention. It's wild. You have an administration that's willing to roll up its sleeves and to dig into stuff I can't even fathom. So you've got that going on. Then you've got the investigation finally into the 2020 election, right? Specifically, FBI honing in on all of the ballots from Fulton County, Georgia from 2020. All loaded up on trucks and loaded out to Quantico, Virginia, FBI headquarters to be evaluated. Finally, it's only taken 5 years, right? And then you've got economic stuff going on. All three of these things, not to mention all of this stuff with Marco Rubio and Venezuela and all of that stuff. It's amazing. And still, right? Donald Trump's right in the middle of all the household stuff, touring the country to talk about affordability. I want you to know some of the people who've been picked off the street of Minnesota. As Jacob Fry and Tim Walz have said repeatedly, they really don't want to comply. Apparently, Brock, you had some new information that just came in regarding that. It seems like Tom Homan has struck an agreement with Minnesota Democrat officials to hand over public safety threat illegal aliens to ICE. Look, that's all they ever wanted. That was the whole crux of the operation. This is what Donald Trump ran on. We got to get these people out, right? Let's talk about some of the people that have been picked up in Minnesota. Well, there's one who beat up a pregnant woman. That's nice. That's wonderful. These are people I want to protest on the street and put my life in danger for, right? A dude who beats up a pregnant woman. How about this guy? The rap sheets of some of the arrestees, including Justin Neal Shelton. He was booked on obstruction charges. This guy pled guilty. These are just the protesters. He pled guilty to a charge of first-degree aggravated robbery after prosecutors say he beat up a pregnant woman while he and another individual were trying to steal her car. Well, it's kind of like George Floyd, isn't it? Didn't he hold a gun to a pregnant woman's belly? Like, could you choose all of the wrong people to put your eggs in the basket of, right? So we've got progress going on in Minneapolis, which is terrible news for the Democrats because they need another Alex Preddy. They need another Renee Good. They've got to keep the fire smoldering so that you're distracted with the smoke in your eyes, right? Meantime, thank goodness, I know you guys were very concerned. And that just talks about how good and decent you are. Ilhan Omar is going to make a full recovery. I know a lot of you were worried about that spritz of dressing of some nature, apple cider vinegar that she got on her. You got to hear how she handles this situation. The actors, whether they're actually American citizens or become them, and we have to wonder if she actually ever did, if we want to be real about her birth certificate and all that. I love how these are the people who are going to then point fingers elsewhere and blame who else? Donald Trump. Democrat Rep Ilhan Omar Wednesday evening blamed President Trump for the apple cider vinegar attack. This is how bad it's become, okay? This is how low it's gotten. President Trump and others speculated that the so-called attack on Ilhan Omar was staged to distract from the probe into her mysterious jump in personal wealth. That's one word for it. A man identified as 55-year-old Anthony Kamerzik charged at Democrat Rep Ilhan Omar. I would say he was more of a stagger. I don't know if he was having a seizure, drunk, I'm not sure, right? And then tried to spritz some stuff at her, sprayed her with apple cider vinegar. And she's much better. I'm good. I'm happy to tell you that. So this is what Omar said. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment. That triggered the guy. Spritz. Oh no, she was spritzed by something, right? And then, of course, here's classy till the very end, Ilhan Omar. We will continue. What a hero. She's wrapped in the American flag in your mind, right? She's all about, we'll continue. You won't prevent us from fighting to steal more of your money and give it to the Somali population that was imported to America to rip off all of our welfare systems and fleece the American taxpayer for tens of billions. We will not quit. Right? And then she goes, this effing a-hole is not about to get away with it. Get away with what, Ilhan? You're going down, okay? Poor Tim Walz. We hear his wife was seen walking out of a divorce attorney's office. Apparently, he doesn't have a whole lot to divorce him for or to get. I guess he's like the only person in Minnesota who hasn't gotten rich off of the American taxpayer, right? So pay attention to all these things as, by the way, now, if you've got a few bucks to spare, Tim Walz and Jacob Fry could use it. Liz Collin putting out on X last night. This is what it says. In Minneapolis, we stand by our neighbors. Right now, our city is facing an unprecedented federal immigration enforcement action that has disrupted daily life. Yeah. See, I don't think so. If you can click here. Who wants to tell them? You know, Donald Trump was in the hole for $10-20 million with all of his legal wranglings at the hands of depraved Democrats. It's going to cost a little bit of money for these fellows to defend themselves when all of the prosecutor's evidence comes out about whistleblowers stepping forward 6 years ago and saying, Governor, Mr. Mayor, you guys need to pay attention. And they were like, meh. Good luck, boys. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, this Fulton County thing is for real. We've been talking about election malfeasance questions like blind people could see. Finally, let's get some answers. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So a guy who beats up a pregnant woman, and there are more. There are more mugshots. Ooh, this guy looks nice. Abraham Nelson Coleman. He's 45. He looks like a skinhead. Since 2003, he's been arrested 3 times for theft, once for felony theft, 3 times for damage to property. Jay Lynn, is this a woman? Ooh. I'm just going to say, Jay Lynn Marie Rodriguez was hit with rioting charges. Like, some of these people, they're like, wacko. Yep. These are the people who are being picked up, and they're making a database of them. Blast them out there. We'll see. Let me tell you quickly about, who do I want? It's usually a good time for Texas Bullion Exchange. I better get on there and see what it says. WendyLovesGold.com. So we're watching all the precious metals prices, and it's a lot of confusion if you're not really into it. But it's fun to monitor, and once you get a gold or a silver coin in your hand, it's sort of like I've said, it's like a tattoo. You want 50 more. And so that's why I've partnered with WendyLovesGold.com. It's TexasBullionExchange.com. They're wonderful, but it's Wendy Loves Gold. That's where you go. And 855-927-5557. Silver is up $2 to $115 an ounce. That's nuts. Gold is up 55 to 53.68. I'm telling you what, if you want to invest in something, if you want to learn about how you start, if you want to learn if it's even feasible for you, that's why I say call them. They're great. 855-927-5557. Ask about their program that protects your investment. You never sell it back for less than what you bought it for. That's a big promise. WendyLovesGold.com. I do. That was pretty fortuitous, Brock, if you think about it, for us to get some silver. Well, I mean, he has a bar of it. I don't know.
I have a what?
You have a bar of it, don't you? Bar?
Yeah.
Silver bar. Silver bars. Silver bars. I know. How's everybody? What's going on? Share. Hi, Jad USA or Jads USA. What's up, Dawn? Dawn West, Ray Carr, Bill Fred. What's going on? Hi, TZ Burton. Hi, Fisher C. Hi, Mark. Black Dog. What's going on, you guys? Oh, there's Demanda. It's great to be with you. Thank you for your donations, you guys. It's so nice. Hi, Black Lab. Good to see you. What's up, little chickie? Hi, Pod. Good to see you. Hi, Rob. River Water and Shenanigans. Good morning or afternoon. I'm trying. Hey, Ginger. What's going on, babe? Skizmo. Yesterday was the 40-year anniversary of the Challenger explosion. Wow. That's nutty. Yeah, I was in
If you believe it.
Wow, is there a tinfoil hat about that?
There is a tinfoil
What is
hat
it?
about that.
Share.
That the people who were quote unquote on it
Yes.
weren't really on it. Stuff I've read, the same stuff that you guys have probably read, but everything. What don't you? You can question everything.
So, do you believe in the moon landing?
You're
I
right.
don't know
In
what-
1960, we landed on the moon.
I never went back.
And never went back.
It's
With all
kinda
this
odd.
new technology, never went back.
I don't know.
I
don't know what
and
to
who
think.
out there has seen Buzz Aldrin basically say, no, no.
Wow.
Talk about tinfoil and
So then you probably think that Donald Trump is a time traveler.
you know what?
I love some of the things that go back to Tesla and all of his uncle and all of
The
that
book
stuff.
about Barron.
Yes.
I'll put it this way: is I'll believe anything now. Like, is anything out of the realm of believing because they've lied so
No.
much?
No.
Can I believe 9/11 was an inside job? I could.
Uh-huh.
I could totally believe that.
No.
Our CIA is so dirty, and the stuff we've learned.
Yeah, how do you clean all that out? What do you do? How do you do that? I don't know.
JFK. I mean, come on. They come up with the magic bullet theory that some guy in a book depository with on Bones, they basically proved it wasn't.
And so it must be.
You're right.
If Seeley Booth and Temperance Brennan say it's so, it's so. Hey, quickly, since I have time, I want to tell you about Ireland Contracting. If you live in Southwestern land before time, just jot down their number, put it in your mind, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Honest, talented exterior contracting, right? New siding on the house, absolutely they can do it. New windows all over your house, for sure. You need new roofing. You need the less sexy stuff, gutters or downspouts to be replaced. Call Gary Ireland, call 1-800-NEW-ROOF, and I guarantee you'll get a price that is better than the gutter guys, okay? Just saying. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Also, the electrical stuff with their son, Dan. He'll go into your house and fix stuff for you there as well. You can trust him, and he's great. Tell him Wendy sent you. Maybe he'll come to my house sooner rather than later. Okay. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, I'm just going to put this out there in the atmosphere for anybody who's running for office or thinks about it, blaming somebody else for what's going on rather than standing on your own 2 feet and saying who you are, what you believe in, what you're going to do, and how you're going to stand behind what your plan is. That's a much better approach, because everything that the Democratic Party has right now is blame Donald Trump. Booga, booga, booga. He is the boogeyman. He is the reason everything's terrible. He's the reason why all this stuff is going on in this world. And of course, you and I are more scrutinizing than the average Democrat. And so we look at it and we're like, please. Look, they have nothing left. They have no bench. And after you hear Marco Rubio in the next hour, you're going to say to yourself, JD Vance, I don't know. I really like Marco. 28. I don't know. We'll see. Democrats have no bench. Their money has gotten cut out from underneath them. All of the various spigots and the ways they fund themselves. Because let's be honest, who's at home going, you know what, honey? I know it's a Sub-Zero Thursday, but I think we should give some money to a Democrat candidate for something. Nobody. And all this stuff is unraveling. So you throw in digging into 2020, which is quite frankly all any of us ever wanted. That's all the January 6ers wanted. You know, that's what that whole thing was about. They didn't go to the Capitol to storm the Capitol, to overtake the government, right? To cause problems and smash windows. They went because they knew what happened was wrong. And it was so obvious. The evidence was so clear. And anybody out there on the left who's like, there's no evidence, or, you know, there's no proof. It's like, shut up. Stop that. We're going to look. They will investigate. And the results will come out. It's not going to change the fact that Joe Biden was president for 4 years. Right? But it is going to answer a lot of questions about how we move forward. And apparently the SAVE Act is gaining a lot of traction. And John Thune says it's going to come to a floor vote on the Senate floor. That is huge. Let's talk about this. FBI raids Atlanta area elections office amid Trump's push to relitigate 2020 election. That's the headline from Politico. I'm not going to read you Fox News. I'm not going to read you Newsmax. I want you to hear what the left is saying about this. He wants to relitigate. No, he wants to make sure it doesn't freaking happen again. And we know that if that's what you're writing, you want it to happen again because you know your side can't win without cheating. The FBI said it executed a search warrant at the Fulton County Elections Office outside Atlanta on Wednesday amid President Donald Trump's renewed efforts to challenge. It's not a renewed effort. It's always been the effort. You guys have gone after everybody and his brother who tried to bring it up. You created fake news on January 6th and threw people in prison as an intimidation tactic to keep the rest of us from saying anything. And there are a lot of us who lost our jobs merely by asking that wild question. Really? Really? Right? An FBI spokesperson, Jenna Saledo, said the agency was executing a court-authorized law enforcement action at the county's main elections office. Blah, blah, blah. Did not specify, but this is where things get interesting. Georgia's Secretary of State's office and Fulton County's election offices did not immediately respond to requests for comment. They were going, oh, snap. The action comes just a week after Trump vowed that, quote, people will soon be prosecuted for what they did regarding to the 2020 presidential election. Fulton County Commissioner Mo Ivory, a Democrat, said in a brief interview with Politico that she learned upon arriving at the facility that the FBI was seeking ballots from the election. Look, you guys, they've been asked for 5 freaking years. And every excuse under the sun has been given. Well, we think that's an invasion of privacy. That's federal overreach. What are they trying to do? We're trying to get to the bottom of it because everybody knows damn well what happened, Politico. And this is the final line I'll read to you from the Politico article. It says, Trump has long held, comma, without evidence, comma, that the 2020 election was rigged in favor of the former president, Joe Biden, falsely alleging there was widespread voter fraud across the country. Well, you know what? It's funny that Politico can litigate that for us, that they can be judge, jury, and executioner because the evidence hasn't been presented because judges have allowed it to be covered up. So, Politico, suck it. Let's get to some of the sound. I like this. This is a Georgia state senator. He's like, look, I'm one of 4 people here who've blown the whistle for years. And here we are finally. Like literally, he's tingling upon word of the FBI. And by the way, a special guest they brought with them arriving at the Fulton County Elections headquarters. Listen to this fellow who's a state senator in Georgia.
So just got word that the FBI is in Atlanta, Georgia, conducting a search warrant at the Fulton County election office. And I've spoken to a number of individuals over the last couple of weeks, have not spoken about this publicly, but who have been called in by the FBI for questioning and was aware that the FBI was here. Do not have any information what the search warrant is related to, other than Fox News is reporting it is related to the 2020 election. And I'd like to remind you that the reason that some of us, specifically Burt Jones, Brandon Beach, William Ligon, and myself, the first 4 that stood up and called for a special session, was so the legislature could do this back in 2020. I'm glad that we finally will be getting to the bottom of whatever it was that happened in 2020. Thanks to the federal government. Wish that we could have done it much, much earlier. We'll keep you posted on what we know. But the FBI's here, and hopefully we'll get the truth soon.
Okay, so let's talk about it. He mentioned Fox News, and they got a reporter on it. They sidestep and kind of tiptoe around it, but you can read between the lines.
FBI agents are still on site at the records warehouse for the Fulton County, Georgia Board of Elections. The matter is sealed before a court, meaning details are limited, but we can report this is related to the 2020 presidential election. Sources tell Fox News that agents retrieved documents, phones, and computers after a judge signed a warrant. President Trump has long made Georgia, and specifically Fulton County, a target of his complaints relating to the 2020 election. Shortly after that election, Trump spoke to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and said he needed 11,780 votes to win the state. At the time, Raffensperger said he felt pressure from Trump and denied any widespread election fraud. He continues to deny it to this day. Now, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis brought state criminal charges against then former President Trump and others in 2023 for conspiracy to overturn the election. But her prosecution, Brett, was eventually derailed completely after it was revealed she had an intimate relationship with the top prosecutor on her team, and it could have tainted the case. Late last year, a judge dismissed the case in its entirety. Now, Brett, last month, the Justice Department sued Fulton County, Georgia, seeking access to 2020 voting records after state officials allegedly failed to respond to a subpoena. Fox News has learned the head of the FBI's Atlanta field office was recently forced out in recent days, but it's unclear, Brett, if this is all related.
It's unclear. We have absolutely no idea if all these things are happening because Democrats stole the 2020 election. Now they're going to tiptoe. We don't want to get sued. We've already been sued. It's a big lawsuit, right? They're not going to sue me for saying everybody knows what's going on. Right. And I love that Brad Raffensperger, he's like denied widespread election fraud right after it. How do you know? You didn't even look. Right. Without evidence. Well, no. See, we have evidence, but you're not allowing us to present it to you. Judges refuse to take the cases. Okay, this is the moment of truth. This is it. Can we also get Tina Peters out of her jail cell? Can we also prevent that woman from getting murdered in prison for what she was able to find in Colorado? It ain't just Fulton County, Georgia. It's in Allegheny County in Pittsburgh. It's in Philly. It's in Cleveland. It's in I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're fighting to fix. I'm not interested in relitigating a whole election, but shouldn't you figure out how it happened so it never happens again? Democrats won't be transparent. They won't share their voter rolls. Why do you think? I don't know. It's a total mystery. We should ask Molly Ringwald. Oh, sorry, she's too busy melting down in her bedroom. Got that for you coming up. Meantime, last night, as the FBI trucks are rolling out en route to Quantico, here are a couple guys reporting on it. I don't know who they are, but these are fellas obviously well-known in Georgia who've been working on this. Listen.
These may look like random truck boxes, but Jason, explain to us what is currently happening 10 feet away from us.
Yeah, David, this is a beautiful day. We've been trying to get these ballots, everything from 2020, pretty much since 2020. We've been told time and again, everything was fine, don't worry about it, why are you investigating 2020? This happened so many years ago. You know what, if there was nothing to hide, they would have showed us years ago. Now we're going to find out. These trucks are on their way to Virginia. They're going to be out of state very soon, and it is time to get to the bottom of 2020.
So basically, it's about 700 ballot boxes from the 2020 election because, again, this is the Fulton County Election Office. Today, FBI executed a search warrant where they seized essentially those 700 boxes.
Everything.
And now they've officially left. This is the train, as we'll say, that's on the way, hopefully, out of Georgia.
In safe keepings.
This just in, Jake Tapper's new book, Rigged, is coming out any day now. He's going to find out, oh, maybe it was rigged. Wait, Joe Biden has dementia? I had no idea. Speaking of Jake Tapper, he is such a piece of work. He's got Jeff Duncan on last night. So Duncan was the lieutenant governor, Republican lieutenant governor of Georgia in 2020. He's now running as a Democrat for Georgia governor. Let's hear what he has to say. It's so crazy that we're auditing 2020, Jake Tapper says. Apparently, he's the only one who doesn't realize it was all a scam.
That's still just so crazy. 5 years later, just so nuts. Let's discuss with the former Republican lieutenant governor of Georgia during that election, Jeff Duncan, who is now a Democratic candidate running for governor. Thank you so much for joining us. We just got this new video showing the FBI loading boxes into a truck at the Fulton County elections office at the hub after serving this warrant. What do you make of this?
Well, it's just another disgusting attempt by Donald Trump and his administration to try and rewrite history. But I think it's important to recognize Donald Trump does not care, has never cared about protecting democracy or due process or following the law or just embracing the facts or even protecting innocent lives at this point with what's playing out in Minnesota. Donald Trump has figured out the cheat code. If he can weaponize the federal government, he can feel like he's getting his way each and every day. And it's wrong. People are losing their lives and their livelihoods. We're losing traction all across the world. We're the laughing stock of even third world countries these days at the way Donald Trump is working. You know, it's hard to imagine a scenario more than you know, the Trump administration shows up to kindergarten class in the West Wing every morning with their crayon box, and they literally spend all day trying to rewrite history. And this is another attempt.
Wow. If that's as good as you've got, Democrats are so hosed. I give that dude a D-. That is what, Brock, that's what they're running on. Bad Trump.
I don't understand. If everything was fine, why doesn't he just say, hey, I'm glad they're taking the boxes. We're really going to find out. And so are they. Man, aren't they going to have egg all over their face when they realize it?
And by the way, while we're doing that, let's go through our voter rolls because there's nothing to see there that's unusual either. Oh, that's right. It's bad Trump all of the time. I will say this before the break. Fulton County, since 2020, has refused to turn over more than 500,000 ballots from that election. So the FBI had to go seize them under a criminal warrant authorized by a U.S. magistrate judge. And they now claim voter intimidation. How is it intimidation to review ballots that aren't tied to voters? I don't understand how that works, ladies and gentlemen. Desperation, running on fumes, no more plays, no more money. Oh my gosh, they need something big to happen. So how are Democrats responding to the wheels falling off the safest, most secure election ever bus? Well, it's all about chaos, of course. Sowing chaos. I got the sound for you next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's so ridiculous. All of the excuses, and you know what? they chose all the wrong people to put in all of the wrong places. There's nobody better than freaking Fonnie Willis, who's
puts her dress on backwards.
I'm sorry, she's mentally inferior and she's infected by the black woman. That's right, complex. Where if you question her, she'll be like, "Don't you get in my face?" And I'm like, "Look, pal, that act so doesn't work for me."
I think the biggest
doesn't work for me.
Smack in the face, kick in the balls, whatever you want to say, is that Tina Peters is in jail, and Ruby Freeman got the medal of whatever.
I'm telling you, it's got to be that it's Somalians with terrible IQs living in poverty, right? Illiterate, 70% illiteracy, coming to America and becoming gadzillionaires. I mean, like, one of these things is not like the other. Like, where's the frying pan? Like, that's why it's so silly. And it has to happen, right? I was just watching Glenn Beck before we came on the air, and he was talking about the address where Renee Good was killed being an address where 8 various businesses are, none of which exist. It's a 1,000 square foot building. 8 of these businesses that don't exist that are connected to 184 different business IDs. And they're ripping off the government to millions and millions of just isolating that address. It's so ridiculous. It's not even funny. What's ridiculous is this, right? Before 8 months later, losing 100 pounds of fat. That's pretty ridiculous. Now, it's usually 3 months, what Kelly Morgan says will happen to you. Look at that. That's before, right? Look at her after. Holy cow. Morgainsfitness.com. MORGAINZ fitness.com. 3 months, 90 days, before and after. Say what? Doesn't matter where you live. Look at that. Oh my Lord. Learn how to eat, learn how to exercise, learn the secrets, do it from the privacy of your home. Morgainsfitness.com. Get in line, click the button that says Ignite 90, and she'll get in touch with you. I mean, it's amazing. Wait. Look at that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. Right? Sometimes a picture is worth a gazillion words. There you go.
Don't you also love that the people who are complaining about he's trying to relitigate an election from 5 years ago are also the people who sit there and tell you about January 6th over and over 5 years later.
That was a threat to democracy.
Yeah. So it was a stolen election.
Oh, God.
I mean, it just... their hypocrisy is so in your face.
Does anyone look at Barack Obama or the Clintons anymore, or even the Bushes, with anything but complete disgust and disdain and disappointment? That's the hardest thing.
I read, maybe this is tinfoil, that the cheating goes back to his beating Hillary.
To Obama?
Mm-hmm. That the rigging...
Would you be surprised?
No. Nothing surprises me anymore. The Earth's flat. Okay.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. It's so ridiculous what the left wants you, and I should say the deep state, because it's really just this blob, right? It's just this blob of suck that doesn't discriminate. It's not one side or the other. It's just a bunch of suck. And it's so remarkable what they want you, what they expect you to believe. They expect you to fall for the lamest stories, the dumbest things. And it's so insulting. You know, it's so insulting. A couple times you're like, that's just, now you piss me off. Now I'm just insulted. And you know what? It's so disappointing. But one of the worst things I could have ever heard. And I did. I heard it from my mom. What my mom said mattered so much to me. And I remember being little. Much. And her just saying that I had disappointed her. And I don't know if that was when I got arrested from Sears from stealing lime green stretch pants and getting arrested. I don't know if it was that time or if it was the time I drag raced Ricky Schroeder without a driver's license, and my sister told on me. And well, it's quite the talk of the town because I won in a 1976 Cadillac Seville, and he was driving a Porsche 911. I don't know if that was it, but it did cost me my driver's license for 6 months, right? I don't know what it was, what I could have. I don't know. It's just a mystery, but I know that I disappointed that woman so many times. And it sucks to know when you disappoint somebody. And when you feel that and you taste that and you make a decision, I'm not going to do that anymore because it feels terrible to know I let you down. These people let us down so badly. And they put us last so incredibly. And they stand there and lie and it's so much. This woman that you're about to hear, it's the same old talking points. And it just doesn't stick the landing. It never did. And they're the only ones who don't understand that we're so beyond disappointed now. I'm just disgusted. You disgust me. I look at you and I listen to you, lady, and I don't know who you are. You're some Fulton County election quack, whatever. Okay. But what you should say is, well, finally, we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to put the issue to bed. And we here in Fulton County, Georgia, are tired of being the laughingstock of the election world. And we're going to put it to bed and we're going to clean it up and we're going to move along. Well, she can't say that because she knows damn well what's at stake and she knows damn well what they did. Listen to her.
They are in there collecting 700 boxes of ballots right now. We are obviously concerned about once the ballots leave here, what will happen to the ballots, and our lawyers are going to be working on that. They are working on that as we speak right now. Let me just speak to the larger issue about what this is really all about. This is a scare tactic. This is something that we have seen done before. This is to instill fear and chaos, something that, our officials at the national level are doing on a daily basis. And this is not a surprise for us here in Fulton County. This is meant to make people afraid to go to the polls because midterm elections are going to be so crucial to course correcting what is going on in our country. So instead of taking care of people who are dying in the streets of Minnesota, they are here in Fulton County trying to get ballots from 2020 that have been in storage for now 6 years from when it was found that there was no problems with the 2020 election.
You might want to put a pause on that one, sweetness, because that's obviously not the case. Chaos. That's always the story. Sowing discontent. He's so disruptive. Look at what happens when Donald Trump's around. That is the sound of people who know they're busted, right? And we're going to talk about the whole chaos theory because that sure is a common thread. ICE coming into a community doesn't cause chaos. Inviting criminal illegal aliens who beat up pregnant women and decapitate others, that's chaotic. I'm just going to say there's a difference, okay? When we come back, hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program, it is all about the numbers. We're going to talk about that and the census data and why 2030 is so petrifying for the Democratic Party. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. We'll do anonymous there. Chaos. All he wants to do is cause chaos. Oh, chaos. No, see, if you had just opened everything up and let us see it instead of forcing them to go to court to go in and seize these documents, we have no idea what's going on. I can't wait, you guys. People are giddy in Georgia or terrified. Coming to a community near you, Joshy. All right, let's talk about let's talk about losing weight, but losing weight by figuring out what's going on in your body. BodybyAIM360.com, 412-227-9255. You get to that point in your life and you're like, look, I can't do it by myself. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm eating like a rabbit. I'm still not losing weight. I'm miserable. Everything I like in my life, I've taken for myself, all the flavors I enjoy, and it's not working. And am I a giant failure? Am I always going to feel like this? No. It's not like that at all. In fact, your blood tells you so much about what's going on inside of you. It tells you what's going on with your hormones, with your sleep, with your stress, with everything. And all these things work together, in fact, with your gut. And it can prevent you from losing weight. Dr. Dubiak says, let's figure out what's going on at that level. Let's do this blood test. And you can get it $199 right now at bodybyAIM360.com. BodybyAIM360.com. And then once you figure out what's happening, Dr. Dubiak's like, this is not complicated. We can help you. And you can lose dramatic weight in a couple months. And I can show you how. And then you learn how and you do it forever. So you can eat what you want to eat. And when you get a little fatty bobalatti and you're like, I don't feel that good anymore, you can go back to what you knew, what you found out from Dr. Dubiak, and you can lose the weight. Start from scratch again. That's what it is. BodybyAIM360.com. We've watched it happen. You've watched Brock shrink before your very eyes. Why not be next? If not now, when? What's happening out there, you guys? Let's see how you're doing. I'm trying not to browbeat, right? We're getting a phone call. I think it's funny when people find our phone number because I don't even remember it. It's like 1 something something something.
It's 1-855
WBR show. I pay for the line that we don't use.
Well,
But
we do.
We do when we call in guests.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, how cute is this? So this is Mike McCormick's new book, The Big Burn. This is what it says. How cute is this? I started reading mine, and this is yours. You have an autographed copy. This is inside. It says, Mike publishes a Substack, Midnight, and the Laptop of Good and Evil, in which he reveals Obama-Biden corruption, deep state destruction, deep church evil, and deep media malevolence. Evidence he's uncovered there has been featured on the Wendy Bell radio show, the Daily Mail, the New York Post, Fox News, Newsmax, One America News Network, Real America's Voice, Steve Bannon's War Room, The Benny Show, and dozens of radio shows and podcasts. And he writes, Brock, you and Wendy are number one with me. Wow. 2026 is going to rock. Isn't that lovely? We get the big number one indication, a number one hello and whatever mention on his book, The Big Burn by Mike McCormick. I started reading it, and I'm reading it every night before I go to bed, and I love it. It's really cute, and it's fun. It's fun. I don't know if I call it cute, but he's a great writer. You're very quiet today. What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm just monitoring.
Ah, well, what are you monitoring?
They've failed to pass the budget.
Yes, of course.
So
that vote was at 11. Something like that.
I mean, let's be real. Like, do we really need our congressmen and senators right now? Other than them passing bills to fund stuff, what do they do?
They feel very irrelevant. Yeah.
Very.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
You see them have press conferences like Chuck Schumer, and you're just like,
yeah,
you want to fund healthcare, and like no one sees it except the big healthcare companies. Well, how's that benefit you and I? My prices aren't going down. They get funded.
I don't understand how all we talk about is this deficit. Like almost $38 trillion. Can we stop it?
Almost,
and that's all we say. We're like, can we stop it? Can we get out of this mess? And what do? What's the answer? 7,600 earmarks to shove into this spending bill that add $66 billion onto it. You're not hearing what we are saying. I don't give a rat's rear end about the park in your community. Or
let the community fund
or the
it.
walkway for Michelle Obama, the Michelle Obama Peace Bridge or whatever. I don't care. Stop
Just
it.
call it a bridge. It'd probably be cheaper.
Just stop it. And they can't, because that's how they get their money. If you help me do this, I'll make sure I donate to you. Well, you know what? How about you stop campaigning? Because in the Senate, you get 1 6-year term. In the House, you should get 3 2-year terms. And the presidency should also be a 6-year term. Stop it. Right? Stop running for re-election the minute you get elected and then being worried about your coffers. How about you focus on not sucking? How about that?
Did you see the text I just sent?
No. What? Is it going to make me mad?
The rhinos, the Republicans voting alongside Democrats not to go after rogue judges. Like, what? It's just one disappointment after the other. Listen, if someone disappoints you, there comes a time where you're like, I don't believe anything you say.
Yeah.
Your sorries ring
done.
hollow because you just keep saying I'm sorry, but you keep telling me we're sorry.
Do you want to bet that Gus Reschenthaler or Guy Reschenthaler is on there? I bet you. I want the list of all these people too. 76 Republicans vote no on an amendment to strip billions in left-wing earmarks from the minibus. I'm sorry. Who are you?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
Who can take your money? With a twinkle in their eye. Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government. The government can. And the government can, because they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good. Government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions, like healthcare, climate change, pollution. Just throw away the Constitution. I wrote that, thank you. Who can give a bailout? Tell us to behave. And make the founding fathers roll over in their grave. I don't care if you hate me, I'm going to sing it anyway. Oh, the government can.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Welcome aboard. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. Common sense conservatism delivered by a mom. And, the whole idea of this chaos, isn't it so interesting? It's so old, but I'm going to say it's interesting. It isn't chaotic to want to find out if an election has been compromised. If there are riots and protests and what have you that seem to get out of hand and are chaotic, that's not because somebody said, you know what, I think we should get to the bottom of that. It's clearly because you want to cover it up. January 6th became chaotic, not because of the protesters who were there, but because of the undercover folks in the audience, the feds who were in the audience, pushing back, moving people, riling them up. It's because of the Capitol Police who fired rubber bullets and smoke grenades or whatever the hell. They wanted the optics. So it would be an insurrection. It would be chaotic. The people who went there weren't seeking chaos. They wanted to ask their elected representatives to please make the chaos stop, to not certify that election. It's not complicated, right? What's going on in Minnesota isn't caused by ICE. It was caused by an open border that was needed so Democrats could get voters to vote. The chaos is caused by the Democrats. The Republicans, at least this administration, want to make things calm and safe and affordable and predictable and great again. The chaos is caused by the people who don't want that because they need the chaos to keep being dirty so that you don't know about it. I want you to hear Anonymous, of course, one of our favorite accounts on X. And he talks about this, specifically about chaos, about what's going on. And he tells us the Democrats use it by design. Yes.
We will not cooperate with ICE or any federal agency.
Of course, I bear responsibility to bring down the temperature.
To ICE, get the f*** out of here.
Every additional body increases risk. Every shove multiplies error. Every hour raises the odds. Eventually, mistakes and tragedies happen. That's not accidental. That's the design. And when it happens, they don't point to the setup. They point to the moment. That's the strategy. Because here's the truth they don't want you to confront. When the opposition is succeeding in the polls, in economic performance, in restoring order, in driving crime to generational lows, reality stops cooperating with the message. The promised collapse doesn't arrive. The crisis narrative weakens, fear loses its leverage, and corruption becomes visible. And when reality contradicts ideology, ideology doesn't adapt. It tries to survive. It escalates, not to win the argument, but to invalidate reality itself. Success is the threat. Peace is the threat. Because success dissolves grievance. It exposes emptiness. It reveals that power was never about solving problems. It was about sustaining relevance. So chaos must be manufactured. Tension must be raised. Sacrificial lambs are placed in the streets. Not because leaders don't know what will happen, but because they do. My friends, we're all anonymous, and this isn't chaos by accident. It's chaos by design.
And you know this. Isn't that a fascinating look? Now, here's something on the radar, and this is something giant. DailyWire.com has this. New census data signals a coming Republican edge in 2030. Under this map, the 2024 Republican presidential victory could have yielded 11 additional electoral votes. Here we go. Based on the U.S. Census Bureau's population and housing unit estimates, they were released on Tuesday. The United States is seeing a significant demographic shift that favors the GOP for the 2030 congressional reapportionment. Despite reporting delays caused by last year's government shutdown, the data reveal a massive migration trend towards southern and Sunbelt states. The growth has been concentrated in a handful of fast expanding states. Texas led the nation, adding 391,000 residents, a 1.2% increase. This is according to the estimates. Florida, North Carolina followed with significant gains. Overall, 9 states gained more than 60,000 residents, including Georgia, South Carolina, and Arizona. Conversely, 5 states saw net population declines, with California losing nearly 10,000 residents. Domestic migration is the primary driver of these shifts. California lost 229,000, New York lost 137,000, and Illinois, down 40,000, experienced the largest domestic outflow. People don't want to live in Democrat overtaxed, poorly run hellscapes. Period. Sanctuary states of suck. Democrats have ruined them. In contrast, North Carolina, Texas, and South Carolina enjoy the highest domestic inflows. International migration remains a universal growth factor, with Florida plus 178,000 and Texas plus 167,000, leading in that category. Projections for 2030 suggest a major realignment of political power. Gains. Texas is expected to gain 4 House seats. Florida is supposed to gain 2. Arizona, Georgia, Idaho, and North Carolina and Utah each expected to gain 1. losses. California is projected to lose 4 seats, while Illinois, New York, Oregon, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Rhode Island are each expected to lose 1. Analysts note that under this map, the 2024 Republican presidential victory would have yielded 11 additional electoral votes. This is why Democrats are fighting so hard for illegal immigrants to stay in the country. The 2030 census is going to crush them as population soars in red states. So the report highlights ongoing debates regarding census accuracy. Critics argue that counting non-citizens for apportionment purposes artificially inflates representation for Democrat-leaning states, particularly those with large immigrant populations, which is really the real issue. Illegal aliens are outrageously counted in the census for congressional representation. Even though they can't legally vote, they give Democrats more power in Washington, D.C. That is why there is so much resistance from the left on deportations. Furthermore, a 2022 Census Bureau study acknowledged significant errors in the 2020 count. Republican-leaning states such as Arkansas, Florida, and Texas were undercounted, while Democratic-leaning states such as New York and Rhode Island were overcounted. These inaccuracies likely cost Florida and Texas additional House seats in the previous cycle, a discrepancy attributed to pandemic-era data collection challenges. Really? Very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. This is all that it is. It is a numbers game. It is stacking the system, adding in potential bodies, whether they end up voting or not, for congressional apportionment purposes specifically. If you've got the numbers of people in the House of Representatives, if Democrats could flip the House, all of these investigations that the House Republicans are in and sharing stop. Yes? Yes. That's the game. That's all the game. And they will stop at nothing, as Anonymous said, to create the chaos necessary so that the people who they've imported using your money stay here long enough to be counted. That's it. Donald Trump says he wants to get rid of those who are criminals. The reality is, people who've come to this country and who are being counted so that the representation of Congress switches. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got a problem. We've got a problem. And the problem involves passing the SAVE Act, friends. That's coming up in the third hour, and we will talk about that. But meantime, when we come back, I want to talk about this, changing how Americans think about money and saving for the future. Did you hear what I said earlier in the show? More than 100 million Americans literally have no savings and no plans for the future. The plan is what? Social Security? President Trump fundamentally wants to change that. And he made mention of it in a big way yesterday. You'll hear all about it next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Beginning young versus starting now? Wow, what an advantage. And to give every child a pot of money to use how they see fit.
Well, when they give us all our tax money back.
If in fact that's the story, Brock.
Well, they call it Nasera Jacera.
That's true.
I sent you something. Because you're what you're going to be talking about.
I do like when you do that. Wow. I don't know how they work, how the Trump accounts work, but okay, so I'm going to tell you something right now. I got cranked up a bit in the gym today at 6 a.m. Apparently, it seemed as though I was feeling strong, and so my trainer was like, yeah, we're going to use these weights instead. And I was like, that is just not friendly. And I was able to do it. And I will tell you, I don't know if it's my mind, if it's Blood Flow 7 working with my mind. Nitric oxide is the secret sauce of bloodflow7.com/Wendy. There's a whole world of supplements out there, right? And all of them promise to do something fabulous for you. Fabulous. And this was like, you know what? It increases your blood flow. And I was like, how do you quantify that, right? It'll make you happier. Like, what? And they're like, no, just try it for a couple of days and tell me how you feel. And I did for a couple of days, and I felt fantastic. I felt focused. I didn't hit the wall in the afternoon. I felt like I could walk farther and harder than I did prior. I felt like I could lift more weight. I could do more reps. I felt like I could last longer. And that by the time the evening came and it was time for me to crawl in bed, I zonked out and I slept like a rock, a boulder, I say. I'm going to tell you, the only thing that I really changed in my life was bloodflow7.com. They've got one for men. It's called Alpha Gold Male. It's a little bit different from this because it involves the man's testosterone, which depletes rapidly after a certain age. And it makes you feel like you're dragging. It gives you different things on your body that you don't want. You don't want to have man boobs. You don't want to have that dad bod. And so this stuff, and Bloodflow7's the Alpha Gold Male for the dudes, it helps that. These two products I really love very much. I swear by it. And I wouldn't tell you you should try them if I didn't think that they were going to change your world. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. There's a discount code there too. You're going to enjoy it. Read about it. Watch the video. Pay attention to what they say. It changes everything. Everything.
Another senator, Shelley
Capito Moore?
Yeah.
She's co-sponsoring it.
More Capito.
But
she was one of the ones that wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think this pressure campaign, apparently Scott Pressler has been squeezing them for.
Well, I think a lot of people have been calling.
Yes.
It's at some point, if you want to be reelected, all these guys want to be reelected. Even the ones that are leaving for a reason.
Right.
But I think they all want to be reelected, and they've realized this is going to be a
deal.
This is it. This is the deal. I think this is the deal breaker. More than the Epstein and more than a lot of things. I think this is the
Isn't that so funny how Epstein's vanished? Where did he go?
It's because
where did that guy go? The guy who had 37 sheets in his jail cell to hang himself with. I don't know if you like
100. Aren't pushing it.
I don't know if you want 100 thread count or 600. Choose yours. So bizarre. It's so obvious. Isn't it all so obvious? What's on my mind right now is this idea that the president has to give babies, newborns born in his administration, a remarkable leg up, something that we should be doing. Why is it that nobody in this country talks about saving or investing or being smart with money? It's all about spend, 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 tax, tax, tax. President Trump's like, look, we need to change the mental culture of money in this country. And it starts by doing something remarkable. It starts by putting money into accounts that will grow over time for 18 years that these babies of today won't be able to touch, but will benefit them and their families. Here's the story from the Washington Times. An all-star lineup of celebrities, CEOs, and other luminaries joined President Trump Wednesday to promote so-called Trump accounts, with some saying they're going to match the federal government's one-time $1,000 contribution to savings accounts for kids. Yes, rapper Nicki Minaj, Shark Tank, and Marty Supreme star Kevin O'Leary, founder of Altimeter Capital and Invest America, Brad Gerstner, Dell founder Michael Dell, actress Cheryl Hines, who's married to HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy, among the A-listers who pledged their support for the Trump accounts. They've become a key part of the president's affordability message ahead of the November midterms. Democrats successfully campaigned on that message last year, forcing Mr. Trump to pivot to a greater focus on the high cost of living. And he says, look, we're doing something much better than giving a handout. We're giving them ownership of America's future so that they can grow up, chart their own destiny, and make our nation greater and stronger and better. And these accounts were created as part of Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill law. Under the program, the government will automatically seed an account with $1,000 for each child born between 2025 and 2028. Ahead of the event Wednesday, JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America announced separately that they will match the $1,000 contribution for eligible employees, making them two of the largest corporations to take such action. Nicki Minaj said she's pledging hundreds of thousands of dollars for her fans' newborns as part of the Trump program. She's expected to invest between $150,000 and $300,000. Well, let's hear what the president said about this on giving babies a shot at the American dream. Listen.
For the first time ever, we're going to give every newborn American child a financial stake in the future, head start at life, and a fair shot at the American dream, something people don't talk about so much, at least not for the last 4 years they haven't been, but now they're talking about it big this last period of time. It's been unbelievable. We're going to put $3 to $4 trillion of wealth into the hands of young Americans who otherwise would have really started out with nothing. It's really an amazing thing because it gives young children that start out with really nothing, and it gives them, it's more money than anybody could imagine. From their standpoint, they'll have a real start in life, and that's why decades from now, I believe the Trump accounts will be remembered as one of the most transformative policy innovations of all time.
And then standing behind him is the web address, trumpaccounts.org. If you have grandchildren or children who are going to be born in this parameter of his administration, this second term, you can learn more about that. Now, isn't it so interesting, the fundamental difference between Trump and Democrats? Like, Donald Trump wants to help you save and grow money so that you can become rich. Democrats want to take your money so they can become rich. There's a difference, don't you think? Kevin O'Leary, he's like, look, we fundamentally failed as entrepreneurs in this space because we didn't teach financial literacy. We're doing that now. Save now and watch your money grow as you get skin in the game. Here he is.
Today, there's 110 million Americans who basically have no plan for their future. They never did have a plan. And they don't know what they're going to do at retirement. This idea, the Trump account, solves that problem, or a good part of it, because you're basically making an investment not just in an individual that's born, in their family. The burden of a family to educate or help a child launch can be really difficult, particularly if you have a large one. Think about this. And this money you can't touch for 18 years. Let the power of the world's largest economy go to work for a child for 18 years and stand back in awe and see what happens if you can't touch it and you let it do its thing.
Look, this is going to benefit babies and families from all walks of life. But think about the difference in the inner cities. Think about the potential for people who the Democrat Party have pandered to for generations, but never came up with an idea to say, you know what? There is a golden chalice, and it is delicious to drink from. And you know what? You deserve that sip. Come to my table. They never do that. Trump says the American dream is for everybody. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Wow. You want to feel proud? of being American? Next. Do you have to go to the bathroom?
No.
I'm going to go real fast.
Okay. Watch how many of these Trump accounts get signed up by Democrats. All these liberals, if they have children anymore, they pretty much don't. But I mean, what they're doing is, what a great idea. Like, you know, I'll be the first to admit the faults of saving. And, you know, when you grow up and you're watching your parents, I don't want to say struggle, but, you know, they're not saving lugubrious amounts of money, you know, so it's just you're trying to get by, you know, and this gives everyone skin in the game. And this, I think this is going to make it to the point where you're not going to need government and Social Security. You're not going to need it. What for every kid that's born now, what Kevin O'Leary's right, and I read that, who knows if it's true. I mean, everything you read, who knows what's true and what's not, that they're going to let employers donate to it and put into these accounts a certain amount. I think I said $2,500, and let parents put into this account. And what a great way for employers to say, yeah, stay with this company. I'll put $1,000 a year into your child's Trump account. I don't know, as a parent, wouldn't that be, it's only $1,000, but wouldn't that be over the length of your career there? You know, I never truly understood compounding interest. Compounding interest, you'll learn real fast on a loan how much it crushes you, how much compounding interest on a car loan or a mortgage, how much that compounding interest destroys you. Well, just think if it's the other way around and you have a Trump account, that compounding interest. And this is stuff we should be teaching. I would have hated it in high school, but I would have loved it as an adult.
Yes.
You know, like,
yeah, we need to reimagine education like that.
Teach me what interest is. Teach me that, you know what, you save 20 today, 10 years from now, that's going to be worth X.
That was what my dad did to me.
Yeah, right.
When I was
24. You had a father that was a financial planner who understood all that.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't. You know, sure, did he have a 401k? But like a lot of people, I saving for the future.
One of the smartest things we ever did was when the boys would get money, I just created savings accounts for all of them. I put $1,000 into each of their account, which is very nice.
The Wendy account.
And when they would get money for babysitting or whatever they were doing, birthdays, Christmas, confirmation, they would give me the money. And I would put it in the account, and then they'd be able to watch it grow. And if they needed money, they'd come to me, and I would just take it out and give them cash, whatever. Wow, that changes. That changes.
That's the problem with all the cards.
Instead of spending the money, they deposit it with me, and it's grown. I mean, it's right.
Think of your wallet. You pull out your debit card, and
I really
you
don't
pull out
like
cash, and you're like.
Plus, if think of it, a credit card company or a bank took 4 cents off of everybody every month, nobody would know.
Every time you charge it, it's 3%. You don't think that's coming to the business?
But I mean, if
owner.
you were
don't think
just
it's coming
being
to you?
skimmed by pennies by anybody, you would never.
We're being skimmed
100
left
which ways,
and right.
100 which ways.
Yeah, fleecing isn't even.
Healthy Cell, you guys, healthycell.com. This is the company I rely on. I will tell you that I've been just like a little scatterbrained, and the ability to feel like there's something that pulls the thread and everything kind of seals together and goes whoop after I take the Focus and Recall from Healthy Cell. Joe is getting sick. I could tell he sounded terrible. this morning when he woke up, and I know it's probably too late, but for this time of year, this immune super boost is a phenomenal formula to get. And remember, these are the microgels that are more digestible, more absorbable. Healthy Cell puts them in this form with wonderful flavors, wonderful varieties. For instance, this one says Cell Defense is the best self-defense. Boost your immune system with a powerhouse phytonutrient blend of echinacea and elderberry, plus vitamins and minerals in a juicy blackberry flavored microgel. That's a lot better than whatever pill you're taking. This is a preventive force field around you during cold and flu season. healthycell.com/Wendy. I love this company. You're going to love this company. Try their formulations. Nice little discount there for you as well.
Elderberry. Go get Joe.
Elderberry.
The jar. Yes. I had a listener one time tell me that when I was a Kitty K. And she's like, you need to this. And no kidding, it was a game changer.
I really like me some Marco Rubio.
I texted you last night.
Really like me some Marco Rubio.
I'm a Marco Rubio 2028.
Yeah. If you need a reason to feel proud of this country, of this administration, of the things that they are focused on doing, if you feel the need to be energized, I want you to watch wherever you can. C-SPAN, YouTube, I don't care, PBS, no, maybe not them. Watch Marco Rubio's testimony yesterday before the Senate Armed Services Committee, right? So up until last year, the guy was with them in the Senate, right? And he is widely respected. And I will say, of all of the hearings I've watched, Democrats behaved the most in this one with a former colleague. I think Marco Rubio showed yesterday he has an unimpeachable character. He does not take BS. And when the Democrats like Tammy Duckworth tried to lay on some piles of poo on him and about this administration, he stopped it in its tracks respectfully. I think you deserve to hear the sound of competence, the sound of ability, and the sound of focus in, I think, one of the greatest statesmen our country has ever seen. And I want you to hear it now. Here he is in 2 minutes. This is why I believe, and I just wrote this down, Rubio in 2 minutes on why he's literally the best Secretary of State ever. He's going to talk about Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, and why America has to be on alert about China always, okay? He's going to take all of these things going on geopolitically that the left want to pants on fire about, and he's going to whittle it down into 2 minutes and make you feel like, oh, okay, now I get it. These things are all connected. Listen.
In Iran, their primary foothold in the region was Venezuela. Let me just put that up front. And it involved more than just selling weapons and all this other stuff. I mean, in many cases, there's clear evidence now that they were providing passports, Venezuelan passports with false identities to people who operated on behalf of both Iran and Hezbollah. And so deep concerns about that, and that needs to stop and end. In the case of Russia, their primary presence of influence in the region is Venezuela and to some extent Nicaragua and Cuba, which is where they operate. In the case of China, they do have a presence in Cuba. They have this debt relationship with Venezuela where they were basically taking Venezuelan oil as payment on debt, and then they were reselling it at a huge profit because they were buying it on discount. That is now obviously ended. And if their debt is legitimate, a future Venezuelan government will have to address it and deal with it as part of a broader restructuring of their debt. But in the short term, that is now ended. But the primary way that China plays in the Western Hemisphere is through commercial relations. They engage themselves in a country. They're very interested in telecommunication. They're very interested in building and controlling key infrastructure. They're very interested in critical mineral rights. And they've secured many leases for many years because of neglect on our part in allowing them to do that. And it's given them leverage and a presence in many of these countries. I will say that I think that influence in our hemisphere has eroded over the last year. For example, Panama left the Belt and Road Initiative. We have new leaders in Chile, in Peru, in Paraguay, in Chile and in Honduras, that have expressed a strong desire to realign with the United States and our priorities. And we have great relationships with Argentina, Paraguay, and other countries in the region who are also very cooperative. And we've had great cooperation from the Panamanian authorities as well, including a case before the Supreme Court. I don't know if the final has been submitted that could lead to the eviction and removal of a Chinese-controlled company that controlled both ports at the Panama Canal.
Do you guys feel in danger? Do you feel at risk? Do you feel like you're part of a bombastic administration that's just going to go Bigfoot everybody? You feel like you're at the hands of an egoist? No, you feel like you're being told the truth. You know, he knows the players, and the president is also clear. We want safe peace. You know, we want peace through strength. Don't fiddle with us. Stay out of our hemisphere. And if you're trying to bring crap into our country, we'll kill you. Okay. So let's hear that again about China. The Chinese are very interested in telecommunication, very interested in building and controlling key infrastructure. They're very interested in critical mineral rights, and they've secured many leases for many years because of neglect on our part as America. And it's given them leverage in many of these countries. How much has China bought up property-wise in our country, right? Then he's on with Chris Coons. And Marco Rubio is talking about drug boats and taking down Maduro. He's like, look, America first isn't negotiable. And if that means blowing drug boats out of the water and you don't like it, well, so be it. And he says the Maduro op, they were all bitching that they weren't briefed before the operation to capture Maduro. And he's like, are you kidding? We can't trust anybody, let alone you people. Very measured. Listen.
That mission remains ongoing, and that is the counter-narcotic mission that we continue to carry out as controversial as it may be. You may not all be fans of it, obviously, but it is happening in the Eastern Pacific, and it is also happening in the Caribbean Basin. The problem is, or the good news is, there aren't a lot of drug boats moving in the Caribbean Basin anymore, and that's what we had briefed Congress upon. This specific mission that you've talked about, one of the reasons why you rehearse it is to see if it's even feasible, to basically go to the president and say, is this something that's even an option on the table? The truth of the matter is that this mission could not have been briefed to Congress because it wasn't even in the realm of possible until very late in December, when all of our efforts to negotiate with Maduro had failed, and the president was finally presented these options and made these decisions. It was also a trigger-based operation. It may never have happened. It required a number of factors to all align at the right place at the right time in a very limited window, and it wasn't even clear if it was ever going to be possible. There's also the aspect which I do not control, and that is deference to the Department of War on operational security. Despite the fact that we had kept this quite constrained, the truth of the matter is that this was leaked. We now know it was leaked by a contractor at the Department of War that, had it been published, would have endangered the lives of people and/or would have probably canceled the ability to carry out the mission. So this is a real tension, and one that I'm doing the best I can to try to manage within the constraints of two things: operational security and also decisions being made. There are multiple contingencies for events all over the world, including some that none of us think were ever going to come to fruition. And in this particular case, one of the reasons why you rehearse these things in advance is to know whether it's even possible. Is this even doable? And what are the risks associated with doing? So you can present options to the president, who ultimately makes these decisions. In the case of reimagining NATO, it most certainly has to be reimagined. And the reason why it has to be reimagined is not because its purpose is reimagined. Its capabilities have to be reimagined. Let me give you as a point of example. There's a lot of talk about security guarantees. And it's something that there's general agreement about now with the case of Ukraine. But those security guarantees basically involve the deployment of a handful of European troops, primarily French in the UK, and then a U.S. backstop. But in fact, the security guarantee is the U.S. backstop. It is not and I'm not diminishing the fact that some countries in Europe are willing to place troops in a post-war Ukraine. What I'm pointing out is that is irrelevant without the U.S. backstop. And the reason why you need such a strong U.S. backstop is because our allies and our partners have not invested enough in their own defense capabilities over the last 20 or 30 years.
And that's something that Mark Rutte, of course, he is the Secretary General of NATO, said to the other European countries who were balking about President Trump saying he wants Greenland. He's like, look, we have provided all of this protection for this organization, NATO, and you guys don't even pay your fair share. You guys couldn't defend yourself if it came to it. And that's what Trump has said. And this is exactly what Mark says. Listen.
But for Europe, if you really want to go it alone, and those of you who are planning for that, forget that you can ever get there with 5%. It will be 10%. You have to build up your own nuclear capability. That costs billions and billions of euros. You will lose then, in that scenario, you would lose the ultimate guarantor of our freedom, which is the U.S. nuclear umbrella. Good luck.
Good luck, he said, defending yourself without the help from the United States. If somebody comes across your borders and wants to get in your face, we need the United States. We need to work together to give President Trump what he wants. Now, here is, and I think that what you get out of this hearing is you don't get a lot of interruption. You have respect of Marco Rubio, which I find very interesting, right? Do you believe that the senators in that room interviewing Marco Rubio on the Senate Armed Services, whatever, committee, whatever it is, do you believe they feel the same way about J.D. Vance? I don't know. J.D. Vance doesn't have the same history there as Marco Rubio, but Marco is able to say things and they don't interrupt him. And he's not radical. He's saying, look, we're being realistic. The reality is we need to protect our hemisphere. We need to protect our people. We want to build this golden dome, a missile defense system, which doesn't just benefit us. It benefits Latin America. It benefits Greenland. It goes up to the Arctic. And that is our objective. And people don't really want to get in the way of that. Here's Marco Rubio on abandoning NATO. He's like, we're not doing that, but we have to be honest about NATO's limitations.
NATO is going to be stronger if our allies are more capable, especially, and here's the reality, whether we want to accept it or not, we have interests all over the world. We have interests in the Middle East, we have interests in the Western Hemisphere, and we most certainly have interests in the Indo-Pacific. A number of you have already pointed out that China is the chief challenge. We can't have the same soldiers or the same ships in both Europe and in the Indo-Pacific. We have to pick. No matter how many ships we build, no matter how many capabilities we grow, we're going to have to make these adjustments. And the stronger our partners are in NATO, the more flexibility the United States will have to secure our interests in different parts of the world. That's not an abandonment of NATO. That is a reality of the 21st century and the world that's changing now. In the case of Greenland, I'll say we're in a good place right now. We had excellent meetings with the Secretary General of NATO. In fact, even as I speak to you now, there'll be some technical level meetings between us and our partners in Greenland and Denmark on this issue. And I think we have in place a process that's going to bring us to a good outcome for everybody. The president's interest on Greenland has been clear. It's a national security interest. It's a longstanding interest that predate this administration. It's one that our allies acknowledge is real.
Now, I'm going to save one. I'm going to save a conversation he has with Tammy Duckworth. And she wants to take umbrage with the fact that people on drug boats have gotten blown up. You know, it's so interesting that the Democrats seem to choose all of the wrong people to support as victims. They want to go to bat for Nicolas Maduro. He shouldn't have been done like we should have been. That's an act of war. That's what Rand Paul wanted more than anything. He blowharded for about 6 minutes and gave Marco Rubio about 55 seconds to speak. Some of these people want to grandstand. Some of them want to make splashes for themselves. But Marco Rubio steps forward and he's like, look, this is a difficult job, but it's a job that needs to be done. We want peace in the world, peace through strength, but we also need all of the other players to realize that strength means we've got everything behind us to get what we want. You can work with us or you can work against us. Venezuela can work with us and they can get the money that we're getting from their oil that we are processing and we're selling on the market and we're putting into an account that we are overseeing through the Treasury, that then when Venezuela has expenses, they come to us and they say, this is what we need money for. And we give it to them for their purposes. We don't want to steal their oil. We don't want to rule their people. We want the same thing for Venezuela that we want for America. Safe elections, an end to the corruption, and peace and prosperity from the people who haven't freaking had it. His next conversation is brilliant. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. He's so calm. And what's Chris Coons going to do? If it was somebody else, he'd be like, rah, what about blah, blah, blah. But It's interesting. I think Marco Rubio, every single time I see him, he just seems to be, oh, my camera just went dark. Hold on, guys. I know you can still hear me. Okay, I don't know why that just happened. It was weird. I don't know. Let's make sure it didn't fudge up my filter. Usually when that happens, it kicks off my filter and then that pisses me off. See, it did. Oh, bastards. All right. Anyway, I think he's fantastic. I do like JD Vance very much. But then you also think, well, what about, Clarence Thomas is probably going to bounce soon from the Supreme Court. Sam Alito. You could get Marco Rubio across the finish line as the Supreme Court justice. That's pretty solid. That's a staunch conservative. He's not going to Amy Coney Barrett us, right? All right, let's talk about it. Simkovich Concussion Institute. The Simkovich Concussion Institute. 412-366-3700. I don't know what he does with those hands, but he fixes people. I wish that we could do healthcare, if we could reimagine healthcare the way we're reimagining saving for the future with these Trump accounts. It would be great if you could have a flexible account, money in your account that would allow you to get certain preventive care. And I think going to see Dr. Simkovich, if you could prevent so much, but if you've had a problem with a brain injury, or even issues that involve kind of even like your whole vestibular system, it's worth a phone call to Dr. Simkovich at SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com, 412-366-3700. It doesn't cost you anything to see if maybe some of the symptoms that you're having would be something that they could address. And they're serious when you sit in the waiting room and they give you the evaluation, like the intake form. And it takes you about 40 minutes to fill it out. It's not just, oh, how do you feel? Come on back and we'll put our hands in your mouth and push a few areas and you'll be great. It's like totally detailed. And then you sit down with Dr. Simkovich and he draws you a diagram of what's going on here. And then he tells you what he's going to do and he manipulates you and he fixes people. People come a couple days of this protocol of his, couple hours, couple days. And all of a sudden, your life is back and you're back in the driver's seat and you don't have the headaches and you're not worried and you're not ruined by anxiety or the shakes or what have you. That's the Simkovich Concussion Institute. The guy is amazing. People travel from all over the country to see him. Makes sense. 412-366-3700. It costs nothing to call. Find out. I still think you need to be treated, Brock.
I watched the Rubio whole thing yesterday.
How long was it? A couple hours?
2 hours and 40 minutes or something like that. Just the way he goes through and he's like, I'll give you my time. Blah, 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 blah. And I actually learned more about geopolitics.
Yes. It's so
anything.
educational. Yeah. I agree.
He was calm. He was clear. There was, like you said, there was no interruption, so you don't get caught up in the, oh, geez.
Mm-hmm. We're talking about the Senate testimony from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. I try to go online and find the perspective of the other side. And so thehill.com is the other side in this instance. And they put up five things that are their takeaways of this Senate hearing. And I'm telling you, you'll learn so much about this international policy, about how the president and this administration feels about the United States vis-a-vis protecting the world and what we should expect from the world back. Right? These are the 5 takeaways that the Hill has for this whole exchange yesterday on Capitol Hill. Number 1, It's so ridiculous. Rubio doesn't take military force off the table talking about Venezuela. How can you be drilled down to one thing or another? He's like, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't want that to happen. We're going to try that. That's not should happen, but who knows? So that's number one. Number two, Rubio sets low expectations for pace of change. It's been 4 weeks, you guys, in Venezuela. It's not low expectations for pace of change. It's change. Their fake president was removed from power, right? He's being realistic. Number three, Rubio says current oil scheme is a short-term fix. There's no scheme. Let's help the people of Venezuela process their oil. Their facilities don't work right. Let's help them build that. Let's help them do that. It's not a scheme. Right? Number four, both sides frustrated with lack of transparency. You know what? You leak. How are we supposed to be transparent with you if what we tell you puts American lives and other people's lives in danger? The whole plan to take down Maduro was already leaked by the Department of War, by some contractor, the Secretary of State said. And finally, Democrats defend Greenland and NATO against Trump. Whatever. How about this administration is tackling things that nobody has talked about in 30 years? How about that? I want you to hear finally the last soundbite. Here's Marco Rubio with Senator Tammy Duckworth. And it's about narco trafficking groups and criminal gangs that are targeting the United States for criminal activity. And she wants to take umbrage with whether the fact they should be blown up. They want to come and poison our people. That makes them an enemy of our country. And we are at war with that. Here is Marco Rubio.
Grave danger to the United States. Anyone who believes that gangs that flood our country with fentanyl or cocaine are not threats to the United States is not living in reality and certainly does not reflect the opinion of most Americans.
The president already said that he was ready to put American troops in Venezuela again. So we're internment law.
No, but we're talking about two separate things here. So you're talking about the state of Venezuela or are describing the regime.
And
we're talking about, but what the president designated.
Invoked the Alien Enemies
I know,
Act.
Senator, but let me be clear with you. No, but what the president was talking about are these gangs that have, and these narco trafficking groups that are waging war on the United States. There's no doubt. These groups have waged war on the United States. They have waged, for example, Tren de Agua is not just a criminal gang presence in our street. It is a criminal gang directly responsible for narco trafficking.
The Trump administration has acknowledged that the vast majority of the men it rounded up and deported to torture under this law had no criminal records whatsoever.
We didn't torture
anybody. Over 75%.
Who did we torture? We haven't tortured anybody. We've arrested people that are members of gangs and we've deported them. We don't want gang members in our country.
Have found that many of the men were here legally. If the administration is willing to lie about who it's targeting under this law, what protections do totally innocent people have against abuse? Again, I want to ask you, will you advise the president to rescind his invocation of the Wartime Alien Enemies Act?
No, of course not. I mean, these are people that are threats to the national security of the United States. But I've described this in hearings in the past, including
so you're saying that we're at war?
We are absolutely. When it comes to narco trafficking groups and criminal gangs that are targeting the United States for criminal activity,
we're in a state of war.
There's no doubt about the fact that we're confronting them in a warlike setting because they're waging war on us.
And do the Geneva Convention
They're waging war against us and they're enemy combatants as a result of it. And the fact of the matter is that we are confronting these irregular groups, and that's one of the great challenges of the new century in this hemisphere in particular, is that these non-state actors who possess state-like capabilities in terms of their weaponry pose a grave danger to the United States. I don't think any American would dispute that we have cartels that pose a threat to the national security of the United States.
Other laws of when it comes to warfare. I mean, you're saying that he can invoke this wartime power.
No, I'm saying, you're asking me, I'm here to discuss foreign policy and what's in the realm of the Department of State.
Well,
I think your questions are better directed to the Department of Justice.
Enemies Act,
but I would tell you
that, which is a wartime, which is something that
but you're asking me a question
can be invoked during wartime. It's only been invoked during the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II. It's only been invoked 3 times, and this president is invoking it.
Okay, you're asking me a question about the domestic application of a law that's best directed to the Department of Justice.
It's
no,
not
it
is
because you're asking me something to opine on something that's in the realm of the Department of Justice in terms of its domestic application. I can tell you that the United States is most certainly confronting terrorist and criminal organizations operating in our hemisphere that pose a grave danger to the United States. Anyone who believes that gangs that flood our country with fentanyl or cocaine are not threats to the United States is not living in reality and certainly does not reflect the opinion of most Americans.
Wow, right. Oh, Tammy, you just look like a Democrat. It's just not a good color on anybody, right? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, it's not just the Somalis. Who knew Dr. Oz was going to root out Russian and Armenian fraud in Southern California? Wait, what? Wait until you hear this next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. She just looks, it's such a bad look. He's smarter than you. He's more prepared than you. He's got the knowledge you don't have. You think you can roll in maybe after a liquid lunch and you can grill him on something that maybe a couple aides put together. You don't know what you're talking about because if you do, you're not expressing it well at all. And it's so unbecoming. Isn't it so off-putting? The interruptions. Let the guy say what he's going to say. What did you get with Anthony Blinken and Alejandro Mayorkas and all of those idiots, Merrick Garland? Did you get any vibe that anybody knew what the hell was going on or was telling you the truth? Of course not. It's so beautiful. I'm just going to say that. It is beautiful to see. Love it. Oh, my goodness. Dr. Gondry. All right, I'm going to read you something. Let's see if I can pull it up. All right. So this is from Eric. Eric writes me, Wendy, I'll try to keep this short but informative. I've been going to the gym and dieting, but would negate any progress that I made with the junk I ate on the weekends. He was doing really well during the week, and then it would sink it with burgers and fries and beers. Spending my hard-earned money on Dr. Gundry has kept me focused during the weekends now, so I do not waste my money. After 6 weeks, and he's talking about drinking this, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. It is a dietary supplement. Absolutely crushes your cravings. This is how Dr. Gundry lost 70 pounds. He goes, after 6 weeks, I'm down 21 pounds and 2 belt loops. I have a long way to go, about 70 pounds total. He wants to lose 91 pounds. 90 pounds. What? And this is part of his arsenal. And in 6 weeks, he lost 21 pounds. That's amazing. This is a great start. Thank you so very much, Eric. I'm so delighted. Thehealthyfat.com/Gundry, /Wendy. Dr. Gundry, I've never seen him heavy, but he promises that he was. And he's like, I don't want to be fat again. And so he created this drink mix that for, I'm telling you, 5 hours at a minimum, you will not be hungry. Will not be hungry. And it helps so much. It's delicious. It's flavorful. It's refreshing. It's satisfying. And then lo and behold, you're not starving. I love that. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. I think you'll like it too.
Did you see the Anna Navarro clip that I sent you?
No.
Talking about Alex Preddy saying he's an all-American hero.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
I
who
did.
you want your daughter to marry.
Yes, that's who you want.
Yeah, the guy who spits on ICE agents and kicks a car. And yeah.
Yeah, he was wackadoodly.
They should
So-
know better than not
Yeah.
say definitive things before they know. You would think they would know better.
You have no any more than Molly Ringwald. Like I feel for people. You know what you don't see, and it sounds terribly catty. You don't see attractive liberal women. You know, you don't see somebody who looks like fresh-faced and healthy, you know, who, you know, maybe has a twinkle in her eye and doesn't even have to have a smile on her face. But there's none of that. It's angry. It's the eyebrows that do this. It's the wrinkles on the face and it's that, and you're like, whoa. Ugh.
I think it comes to a
Calm
point, though.
down.
We're all older, and like, you know, if you're a 10 on the inside and an 8 on the outside, you're a 10. If you're a 10 on the inside and a 6 on the outside, you're a 10.
10, yeah.
You know, like, but if you're a 10 and a 0 on the inside,
I don't know, but there's an interesting article, and I have to read it. It's a lot of there's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo in it, but I think it's the Daily Caller. We don't have a subscription to that, do you?
I think I do.
We need to find out, because there's an article there where it talks about the indoctrination and the grooming of this whole bullcrap that we're seeing among these young people. And it's not even so much young people. I mean, people in the 30s, like, I mean, that's young, but I'm not talking like 16. That's been part of the K through 12 curriculum, demonstrably planted and seeded throughout the curriculum in the public school system. See, you just don't normally have that many parochial school or cyber school or homeschooled kids who are out like picking up a torch and ready to go burn it down.
So
like, what is it that's different?
Kimmy Meyer says, Brock, create some show clips of Wendy's monologues so we can share them, please. Go to TikTok or Instagram. That's what Michael does. I'm not going to put Michael out of work. Yeah. Toolsy's the one that does that. He does a great job at it.
He'll take snippets of each monologue or what have you and put them out. Let's see. I haven't seen what he did yesterday. I better have been fabulous. Yeah. So this is what it looks like. So this would have been yesterday. Right. So Wendy Bell Radio on both. And this one is, a minute and a half, but they definitely exist there for you. That's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't pimp that very much.
No, we don't. And what is our followers there? I don't even, let me see. I can't even tell. He's the admin on that, so I can't tell. It's something like 120,000 on
TikTok. It's 136,000 followers. And let's be honest, I know a lot of you guys don't like that kind of stuff, but that's where a lot of people come from and find you through those short clips.
100%.
So.
We've gotten great growth from there. Look at 730 people on X. Thank you for being here. Hello, 6,100 over on Rumble. Yeah, we really got to get to 3, at least to 3.
We barely limped there yesterday.
Yeah, we did. This is what happens when I don't browbeat you people.
Yeah.
You people. It's so rude to call people that. I hate that. Don't you? Yes.
Can't help it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell Radio program is on the clock. It is a delight to share some common sense conservatism with you. Anybody out there who owns a business, big, small, whatever it is, if you've ever been in that sort of situation, you've probably been taken, right? Somebody's stolen from you. Everybody I know who has a business. Oh, and they all kind of say it too. Oh, how much you get taken for? Brock, you hear it all the time, right?
I have a couple of friends that own businesses, and it's not small amount.
The 6-figure amount of theft, it happens to people. You know what? We're being fleeced, though. Nickel and dimed, but it's not nickel and dimes. And we have been for a lot longer than just now. And I don't know what happened. And again, I'm going to go back to COVID and I'm going to say, thank goodness. All of the crappy stuff that came out of that, right? We wouldn't see so much that we see today that is so wrong, that is so needing to be fixed, if we hadn't all been basically hit in the face with the frying pan and been forced to pay attention. But we've been screwed and siphoned from, skimmed off of forever. It's our taxes. I mean, honestly, if you were to eliminate all of the ridiculous spending, the fraud and the waste and that abuse, can you imagine how much money you could have in your own pocket to do things that you want to do with? That's what this administration is trying to do. And the clock is ticking. Yes, yeah, they got to win elections, but they've got a laundry list of things. Their to-do list is every bit of 4 years long. And part of it is identifying in the realm of healthcare, the fraud that has been allowed to absolutely explode. And we have a 23-year-old YouTuber named Nick Shirley to thank for being curious and to just recording what he found. It's so amazing the people who are anti that. It's like the people who are anti voter ID, the people who are anti digging into the realities of what happened in 2020. It's like they don't want you to know because they don't want you to know. And you know why they don't want you to know, because your suspicions are reality. Dr. Oz, though, I think he's so much more, I like him so much more in this capacity, what he's doing in the realm of Medicare and Medicaid services, and some of the dives that he and the Deputy HHS Secretary Jim O'Neill have done into some of these welfare, Medicaid, Medicare frauds. And he found a doozy. I like him more doing this than I do maybe being the senator from Pennsylvania, even more than I liked him being on television. I think this is a much better fix for him. And he's uncovered something in Southern California. And this, I think, is why the president is saying, whatever you think is going on in Minneapolis that they're protesting to smokescreen for, multiply it by 4 at a minimum. It's going to be much bigger than what you think it is. And it's going to be a drop in the bucket compared to what's been going on in California, right? California, why is everything so expensive? Why are the taxes so high? Dr. Oz in Van Nuys uncovers in 4 square blocks, uncovers dozens of hospices. Like, I don't know if a lot of people and I grew up near Van Nuys. I don't know if everybody in Van Nuys is all of a sudden dying and we need to put them on hospice, or if the California taxpayer is getting boned. Let's pay attention. Listen.
So you can see these are medical buildings. They've got Cyrillic writing, Russian, Armenian writing. On both sides, there's lots of action, it seems. I don't know how many patients are getting care, but in this 4-block area in Los Angeles, there are 42 hospices. So either there are a lot of people dying here, or you've got a fraudulent activity that is so good that everyone wants to get in on it. I'm in Van Nuys in Los Angeles, and this boarded up area above my head here is a big hospice center. There are apparently quite a few hospices around here, 42 within a 4-block radius. And these guys stole $16 million. Listen carefully. The main guy went to jail for 2 years, stealing $16 million. It's a good trade-off for a lot of folks. And if you look at it, it's pretty indescript. There wasn't anyone really in there. They weren't doing any services. They just got an address they could claim was a hospice. And then they ran the business, claiming people were at home getting services, which they really weren't. What we have learned is there's roughly $3.5 billion of fraud taking place here in Los Angeles in hospice and home care. It's run quite a bit of it by the Russian Armenian mafia. You notice the lettering and language behind me is of that dialect. And it also highlights the fact that this is an organized crime, mafia deal where you've got folks who have systemically recruited doctors to write false prescriptions, hundreds of doctors participating. They've got 100,000 patients who they've tricked or paid to give them their beneficiary numbers so they can perpetuate the fraud. And then the criminals are just running the whole organization and quickly scurrying away when law enforcement does get around to prosecuting them. Unfortunately, in California, there has not been a lot of attention on these problems. That's going to change. The U.S. Attorney, the FBI, everyone's now focused on the fact that in this state, which has about $30 billion worth of home and community-based services, most of it might be fraudulent. Those are big numbers, and we're taking it seriously. The president's not going to tolerate this anymore.
Wow. But Trump is into causing chaos, right? And sowing division. Don't you want your money back? Aren't you tired of it being stolen? Well, let's bounce on over to Chicago, and ABC investigates into ghost students. It's apparently an epidemic that is costing American citizens their identities. This is yet another branch of that awful suck of fraud. Listen.
Ghost students are sophisticated thieves who are stealing money from the federal government. But these loan scammers are also hurting area colleges and could be stealing your identity. Ghost students. They're scammers who are stealing identities, enrolling in schools, signing up for federal loans, and then disappearing as soon as they get the money. U.S. Department of Education Assistant Inspector General for Investigation Jason Williams says you can be a victim and not even know it.
These loans are not being repaid. They're being assigned to people. They don't even know they have a debt with the U.S. Department of Education. Or you get some letter from the department or the servicer or the Internal Revenue Service that says you owe the Department of Education money for something you don't even know about.
Williams says community colleges that accept almost all applicants through their open enrollment are most vulnerable. Some colleges say that more than a third of their applicants in recent years have been fake.
We see in some of these fraud schemes where people are enrolled at 2 or 3 different schools at the same time receiving aid at all of them.
Then we panicked. 58-year-old Murat Mayer of suburban D.C. and his teenage son discovered they were victims. They were applying for college financial aid, but someone had beat them to it, stealing their identities and signing both up for classes at community colleges across the country.
We noticed that there were a lot of activity. There are a lot of applications, loan applications.
How would I know if I'm a ghost student, if someone used me and my name to be a ghost student?
Yeah, I mean, there are many ways that people learn that they're a victim of identity theft. Sometimes they might check their credit report and notice an account that they don't recognize. So you can get a free credit report from annualcreditreport.com. If you don't recognize an account, that may be a sign that you are a victim of identity theft.
Isn't that awesome? How many ways can you be fleeced? Now, that is an identity theft situation where they take out hundreds of thousands of dollars of loans in your name, collect whatever money there is, and then scoot. And you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Do you really think you're getting anywhere with the IRS? How many times have you called? How many times have they been responsive to you? They're not. And this is what this administration is trying to stop. Did you guys hear Trump last night, put out a truth? He says, I'm pleased to nominate Colin McDonald to serve as the first ever Assistant Attorney General for National Fraud Enforcement, a new division at the Department of Justice, which I created to catch and stop fraudsters that have been stealing from the American people. My administration, this ends the fundraising for the Democrat Party. I'm sorry. He says, my administration has uncovered fraud schemes in states like Minnesota and California where these thieves have stolen hundreds of billions of taxpayer dollars. Colin McDonald is a very smart, tough, highly respected America First federal prosecutor who has successfully delivered justice in some of the most difficult and high-stakes cases in our country. Together, we will end the fraud and restore integrity to our federal programs. Congratulations, Colin. Stop the scams. Now, who would be against that? Right? Who would be against the ballots from Fulton County being loaded up and investigated? Who would be against the fraud in Minnesota being exposed? Besides the very people who are either complicit, complacent, corrupt, or just cashing in on all of it. And that is so obvious to everybody paying attention. Trump didn't do this. He didn't cause the problem. But in 2015, he said to us, I'll fix it if it's the last thing I do. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Zoran Mamdani, it looks like the communist/socialist, whatever you want to call him. It seems like the honeymoon never really happened because he's already taxing the rich and saying it's going to be a recession. There's going to be almost a depression in New York City. Oh, my goodness. This sounds serious. Next on the Wendy Bell radio network. Pay your fair share. If you're rich in New York, why the hell would you live there? Which goes out of the census, right? 2030 census. They've already reported the number of people who've bounced from states like New York and California and Illinois. Why ever would that be? Right? And to go where? To the warm red states where what happens? We're going to have more representation. So we're going to deplete from those monoliths, you know, the two places in the country that vote blue, no matter who, California, New York. We're going to change that. Uh-oh. That's huge. Oh, good for Tim Burchett. Wow. You know what? We'll talk about that. That's crazy. Let me tell you guys about the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. So I was working out with a gentleman today at my trainers, and he's this small man who's had, he's so nice. He's had multiple operations in the last 6 months for various things, and he's slowly getting back into exercising again. And to watch how gingerly, how carefully he has, and he's only 59. I mean, he's a young guy. And to watch him and how ginger, and one of the operations I'm not so sure was that much of a success. Like, I will do anything to prevent having anybody cut into my body. And if you can stop it, if you can try therapy before that happens, if you can do something particularly when it's a matter of your spine, I'm telling you what, you got to slow it down and see if you can fix it before somebody cuts into you, because that's a roll of the dice. There's so many things that could go wrong once you have to have surgery. Dr. Richard Rafferty at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh has a process that grows your discs back in your back and neck, and it's called intra-disc neutrosis. And it's not magic. It is science, and the science works. And it takes a couple months to do. It's a therapy, and so it involves coming to Pennsylvania, coming to Pittsburgh, and basically for a couple months going through this therapy. But at the end of that time, 98% of the people who kind of graduate from the program don't feel pain anymore. They don't have to worry about it anymore. They didn't have to have surgery. They staved that off. They grew their discs back and they're pain-free. 5 years later, the numbers are almost as good. 96% say they're still pain-free. 412-906-9600. Is it something that's possible for you? There's one way to find out. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com, 412-906-9600. They are fantastic. As much as I love Doc Rafferty, I think the people usually just talk about the office staff the most. They're like, it's like member of my family. I'm part of your family. 412-906-9600. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. Yeah, it still hasn't come across my computer. The text that you sent. Did it get freezing in there?
Just now? I sent another one.
Oh my. How do you want to handle that? Wow. Gotta love Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson's cranked it up a notch.
He's killing it.
He's doing great. He's doing great. So proud of him. Not like he needs me to be proud of him. It sounded kind of gay, but you know what I mean. Somebody's doing hard work. Good job. Let's go. I'll promote you. Let's go, baby. Plus, we beat you on the leaderboard, so. And the first one is so big to our friend Tim Burchett. I like calling people my friends who I've never met, because I figure if I saw him, I'd be like, I love you. Great guy, the congressman from Tennessee, who's been fighting against the $40 million we've been giving the Taliban every week. We just got this victory. We defunded the Taliban in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee right now. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you. Again, where's your freaking money going? Why is it going to the Taliban? And why would Democrats vote against that? Why would anybody in their right mind be like, wait, giving money to the Taliban, yes or no? Absolutely. Really? And then there's this story. GOP Congressman Barry Loudermilk says Maduro, he might be cooperating. He might be chitter-chattering a little bit. He might like that deal that Trump gave him, that golden parachute to relocate to Turkey and live his lavish lifestyle. Well, it says that Maduro may fully expose 2020 election fraud. That's a sitting United States Congressman Barry Loudermilk saying that. Yeah, the Democrats you don't think are panicking. Holy moly, they're panicking. Well, this is kind of a bummer. Mayor Mamdani, for a second, the communist socialist that he is, doesn't have very great optimistic or rather economic news for the people of New York City. Let's listen in.
We are speaking about a fiscal crisis at the scale greater than the Great Recession. And so there will not be one single thing that can answer that crisis. It will require us to pursue every single avenue. That means looking inward into savings and efficiencies. That also means raising taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers and the most profitable corporations. And it means recalibrating the relationship with the state.
Oh, gosh, what it means is I'm a Democrat, socialist, communist, Marxist whack job, and I have policies and ideas that are going to be very, very expensive. They're going to be super duper. You're going to love them, but it's going to be really expensive. And right now in the budget, we don't have a lot of space for that. So we need to make some space. And so we're all in this together. But if you're rich, we're going to go after you because, it's just a rounding error. What's another zero? Right? Wait, what? Looking at a massive budget gap, New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani is doubling down on his calls to increase taxes on wealthy New Yorkers and corporations. You guys just heard me talk to you about the 2030 census. Yes, and the exodus from states like California, Illinois, and New York. Why? Because Democrats, socialists, Marxists win elections. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge, and then they raise taxes and make things terrible and unlivable. And who the hell wants to bankroll that? I don't. Duh. So, yeah, he's got this dire economic news out there. We're going to have to raise taxes. Well, ABC in D.C. reports this new Democrat hellscape is also happening in Virginia with your new Governor Abigail Spanberger and the complete Democrat control of that Commonwealth. Listen to this.
Here's a list of the many tax increases and proposals Democrats in Virginia are considering passing. They include additional local sales tax in all Virginia counties and cities, new personal property tax on electric leaf blowers and electric landscaping equipment, large employer tax, gun and ammunition tax, new income tax brackets, a delivery tax. This would hit you if you make an order on Amazon, Uber Eats, or an order that includes UPS, FedEx delivery, etc. here in Northern Virginia. There's also a tax they're looking at for events, concerts, an investment income tax, storage facility tax, gym membership tax, dog walking tax, dog grooming tax, counseling tax, digital personal property tax, new car taxes and highway use fees, an increase in the hotel tax here in Arlington, statewide speed cameras. Now, these aren't taxes, but they would include more fines for some drivers, dry cleaning tax, home repair tax, and a vehicle repair tax.
They should really be listening to their constituents a lot more because these tax increases are going to hurt those who are struggling the most.
Republicans are blasting Virginia Democrats' tax proposals, asking what happened to all their talk about affordability.
They did campaign on affordability, and right now, right out of the gate, that's been the last thing that we've seen. That's been the focus.
7 News is waiting for a response from Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger and leadership in the state Senate and the House of Delegates on how this would make life more affordable for you.
Well, the only thing to do, I think it's, it's logical if we're going to live in Realville. I think you should probably just sell everything you have and Look to the government for maybe a small house, 15-minute city where they can control everything. I mean, then you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Now that is a really great solution. Isn't this crazy? Kathy Hochul, meantime, in New York, has said she will not increase taxes on the wealthy. Good luck. We'll see what goes on there. You get what you allow them to cheat for. That's it. When we come back on the Wendy, you can't make it up. When we go back on the Wendy Bell radio program, you're either with us or you're against us. It's called the SAVE Act. John Thune says it's coming to a vote. Let's flush out the rhinos together, shall we? Next. That's some crazy crap going on there.
You know, Democrats sit there and say the average household is one bill away from breaking. If your car breaks down, we're going to tax you on that.
Yeah. You want to mow your grass? Well, about that.
By the way, we took away your gas-powered stuff. You got to get an electric. And, oh, yeah, there's a tax on that.
I have to go to the bathroom again. Jeez.
They will tax everything. A dog walking tax? A dog walking tax. A tax to fix your car. Like, it just makes you wonder, what is there anything they won't tax? And we're all well aware of a tax never goes away. You never hear about a tax going away. In Allegheny County, we have the drink tax. That's never going away. We had the Johnstown flood tax. That never went away. It just, and God forbid you ask where the money's going. Nobody can tell you, or they won't tell you. Yeah, pretty much. Motor on. They're going to tax you when you have to go to the bathroom. They'll find a way. If they can find a way to tax you, they will. And, it's the party talking about affordability. Well, affordability, Wendy brought it up before where if they could take 4 cents, those 4 cents is add up. And the minute they realize you don't see it come, like the credit card tax. Every time you swipe your card with a business, they're charged, I want to say 3 or 4%. Who do you think pays that? The business isn't eating that. That's coming back on you.
Did I get everybody?
A tax to fix your house. Like, isn't that what we all want? Like, isn't that what you want? Like,
you want people to get the hell out of your way is what you want. And what you want is when you need help, you want somebody who's not going to screw you. Right? Yeah. It's very basic. That's why I love that dumb show, Life Below Zero. These people are all off the grid on their own. Right? There's nobody to fiddle with them. But then I kind of fantasize about the Amish and these communities where everybody kind of works together and you don't go to the office. You're working and making food and this guy's doing this and you're a metalsmith and you're a seamstress and everybody just kind of shares their stuff. And it seems to work. Right? You don't have homicides usually in the Amish community. You don't have disease in the Amish community, addiction, mental illness. It's just like this weird thing that doesn't happen. And it's like, what's so different about you?
What was great about my childhood is I grew up where people bartered.
Right.
Right. And now it's, here's the cash price.
Yeah. If you fix my roof,
yeah,
I'll come over to your house and we will do blah, blah, blah. I'll lay we'll build the barn together. Whatever. Okay.
I have skills. You have skills. There's no need to get the government involved.
And all the women, they're like, okay, let's go make a lot of food. Okay, that's super valuable.
That was one of the barter things. Like you had to provide.
There was some kind of a food, an edible. Yeah.
Beer and food. That was.
Well, I mean, yeah. I'm afraid I couldn't do much to help. I mean, like, what skills do you have? I could sit there and talk about you doing what you're doing.
Well, but you know what? That's a big thing, you know?
I don't know.
I don't have any skills. That's why I'm sitting here.
I don't know if wow. What, so it's like sloppy? I get sloppy broth?
No.
Okay.
I'm not going to come to your house and fix your roof.
You did fix my oven.
I could call Gary and say, hey, can you go check out this house? I didn't fix your oven. You couldn't get the screw out, and it took me
a long time.
You stripped it, and I
didn't strip it. It was already stripped.
It was already stripped.
Uh-huh.
That was
How do you get a stripped screw out?
You take the metal saw, I can't remember what they're called, hacksaw, and you
make a new one.
Create the new one, and then it gets stripped, so you have to dig in a little.
Yeah, that was
it took
tough.
me over an hour.
Yes, it did.
You started around me, and then you went and took a shower.
Yeah.
You know, you cut the grass.
Yeah, I took
a shower, and then came back, and
because he offered to help. I'm like, you really don't have to. And then he started, and I'm like, I don't know if you really want to do that. And then he was like, I'm fixing.
And then she was going to half-ass clean it. That I was like, oh no, we're not going to half-ass clean
It was just the splurge. There was like but I don't know how it got in there, but obviously from the oven above it. But
you were going to admit it. You were going to half-ass clean it.
I was. I was. Yes. I mean, let's just pause for a moment and all consider this remarkable world in which we live right now, where so many of the things that you and I have called out as suspicious or just downright dirty are finally being investigated. The shenanigans of people telling us that we are Trumpers, MAGA extremists, white supremacists, blah, 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 purveyors of the big lie, flat earthers, whatever they want to call. All of the dumb names. Like, I don't even care. Who cares? We know what your game is. We know what you've been up to, and we're tired of it. And we want the system and the cycle to stop. And it should. Look, if you're from another country and you're in my country and you're ripping off my family, get out. I don't care who you are. Get out. Get out. I hope you lose everything. I hope you get shipped back to where you came. Because this is the most remarkable place on planet Earth. And maybe we're also the dumbest. Maybe we're also the most naive. Maybe we're the most trusting. Because you know what? I don't look at somebody inherently suspiciously. And maybe that is a part of naivete. But I wouldn't hurt somebody. I wouldn't screw somebody. I wouldn't lie to destroy somebody. I sure as hell wouldn't steal from them. And I think that's the lion's share of you and all of us here in this show. Who would do such a thing? Right? And it's finally being investigated. For 5 years, we've talked about 2020. Not because we want to change it. Not because we're going to reverse the hands of time and we're going to wind it all back and wave a magic wand and pretend it didn't happen. No, it happened. But if you bury your head in the sand and you lie about it or you pretend it didn't happen, well, what's going to happen? It's going to happen again. I don't want it to happen again. You know, I'm a big girl. If we vote for somebody and that person loses, I don't want to be sitting here saying, did they really? Because I trust nothing. I trust no one. Not education, not science, not the law, not justice, not anything. We got to get back to that, right? So the SAVE Act, talk about a monumental piece of legislation. For 2 years, they've been trying to do this. Scott Pressler, right? American Gem has been standing outside. I don't even know where it is that he's been hassling. And I'm sure he's not been hassling, but since January 1st, he's been standing outside where the Senate walks in and trying to tell all of the Senate, can you please pass the SAVE Act? Can you please pass the SAVE Act? Do you understand what the SAVE Act is? It's not complicated. We have the majority in the Senate. Can we freaking act like it for once? It's not a pet project. It's about securing our elections. It's about being an American citizen, proving your citizenship, proving who you are, and proving it in the election booth on that day where we only vote in person. Look, if you're infirm, you can't manage, right? There are going to be contingencies for you. Contingencies, excuse me. But the SAVE Act, right? John Thune, I want you to hear this, Senate Majority Leader. Don't trust the guy as far as I could throw him, but this is a little bit of progress. He says they're going to be voting on this SAVE Act. It will soon hit the Senate floor, that it's been updated to require, and this is the big point to pay attention to in his soundbite. They're reimagining the bill so that it requires both proof of U.S. citizenship, like a birth certificate or a passport, and a photo ID for federal voter registration. Listen to what John Thune says yesterday.
I've co-sponsored the SAVE Act in the past. I think my understanding is that they are still modifying the bill. It includes right now a requirement that you be a citizen to register to vote, but it doesn't include a requirement that to vote you be a resident. So in other words, if you're going to have what we call voter ID or photo ID when somebody goes into the ballot box to vote, that's not currently covered in the bill. So that's being fixed and addressed, and I think the new bill that comes out hopefully will deal with that. But I mean, at some point we'll have that vote. I'm for it. I think most of our colleagues in the Senate are, and I don't, it hasn't had consideration in the relevant committee yet. But I know there's a high level of interest among our members in getting a vote on SAVE Act.
You know, Senator, we're not interested in this dragging out like the $40 million to the Taliban that finally, reportedly, you guys have stopped agreeing to pay. It's madness. It's an 80-20 issue, sir. Supporters say it ensures only citizens vote. Polls showing 80% public approval, including many Democrats. Of course, critics argue non-citizen voting is rare. Well, it could be zero. And I don't care how rare it is. Let's make it zero. How about that? That silences you real fast. So Shelley Moore Capito, she's from West Virginia, senator. This was exciting. She put this out on X yesterday. I have long championed election integrity. And as such, I'm proud to join Senator Mike Lee and my Senate Republican colleagues in co-sponsoring the SAVE Act to ensure only U.S. citizens vote in federal elections. Election integrity and security are critical to ensuring free and fair elections. Speaking of Senator Mike Lee, he is almost giddy, jumping out of his phone to tell you, look, we're going to make some changes to this bad boy, but we're going to vote on it. We're going to get this across the finish line.
Brief update on the SAVE Act. This has been a huge day, great development. We've added more co-sponsors, and we've now got Senator Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, indicating that we'll be bringing it up for a vote. So Chip Roy and I, who introduced the SAVE Act for the first time 2 years ago, are retrofitting the SAVE Act to add in the voter ID requirement, something that we had originally included in what we were going to propose. We're adding it back in. We're going to file that and get this thing ready for a vote. Stay tuned and keep the volume up because we need all the support we can get.
Isn't it amazing that you have to put pressure on your elected members of Congress who are, or the Senate who are Republicans to do what needs to be done? But again, I never paid attention to this stuff before. But they've lied and cheated and connived and swindled and profited. And they've been smug and sanctimonious. Done. And now everybody's vote has to be shown. Everybody has to show who they are. If you're a Republican and you're like, I think it's a little discriminatory to ask for people to show ID. Get out. Get the flip out. You are not welcome anymore. I just quoted my inner Maxine Waters. You tell them, you get in their faces, you tell them they're not welcome anymore, right? You're not welcome anymore. Pack your bags. You suck. So while this is going on, the election ballots are being, adjudicated or reviewed, investigated at Quantico at FBI headquarters from 2020. Amazing. We've got this other story going on over here. Wait, what? Nicolas Maduro doesn't want to be in prison. He wants to get out. He wants to go live his life and still be in luxury, right? So he's going to talk. What? He's going to talk? What is he going to talk about? He's going to talk about the 2020 election? What did you do with the 2020 election, sir? Who have you infiltrated and compromised in Congress? Cannot wait. Of course, then you need to have other things going on, the smoke screening of things. But you know what? A lot of people aren't falling for it anymore. I want you to hear this man. It sounds like a black gay man to me who's responding to a white guy who's claiming that ICE agents are snatching black and brown people off the street. It's not working anymore, white toxic liberals. They're on to you. Listen.
For all the black Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're kidnapping black Americans too.
White liberal racism is worse than getting called the hard R every single day of my life. Because what do you mean that because I'm black, I'm supposed to empathize with literal criminals rather than caring about our country being safe? The caucasity that you have to sit here and act like you're more American than me. Technically, my people were imported here by popular demand. So no, I'm not going to sit here with fear of deportation. Where are they going to send me? Back to Air One? ICE is literally not the concern of black people. Illegals breaking into our country, stealing our resources, violating our women, and trafficking our children, all while refusing to assimilate to the country that they broke into. That is the concern of black people. That is the concern of all sane Americans. So I'm going to sit here and continue to support ICE, and you're going to sit there and continue wrestling with this bizarre hatred that you have towards your own ancestors.
Wow. Speaking of deranged, I want you guys to check out Molly Ringwald. I loved, all of the movies that she was in. She's looking really rough and she seems quite toxic and liberal. She's extraordinarily worried about being in America and she might cry. Listen.
I feel like I can't stay silent and neither should you. There's something horrible going on in our country right now. And we have one of the greatest countries in the world. And I've always been so proud to be an American. But right now, this is a fascist government. It's not becoming a fascist government. It is a fascist government. And ICE is brutalizing people. These are human beings, and we are human beings, and we cannot forget our humanity. But if you don't care about that, if you only care about yourself, then realize that you are going to be seen as a collaborationist. Okay? And I don't think that anybody wants that. I don't think that anybody wants to be on the wrong side of history.
No, a collaborationist is not even fun. Is there a shirt out there I can make? Can I get a hat? I collaborate with this administration. I collaborate with MAGA. And by the way, Molly, I'm sorry. You're on the minority on this one. Here's a gentleman who says, not buying it. I stand by ICE.
So if you live in a blue city, please understand that ICE did not bring chaos to your city. Chaos brought ICE to your city. Open borders created the mess. Sanctuary policies enabled it. And now federal law enforcement is cleaning it up. It's not complicated. Look, you don't have to like it. You can defend murderers, drug dealers, and child rapists all you want. Just understand that if you don't stay out of the way, there will be consequences. And me personally, I'd like to send a message to all the ICE agents out there putting in long hours and dealing with dangerous situations and the antics from radicals on the streets attempting to obstruct and impede them every step of the way. I salute you, and I stand by you. Thank you for your selfless dedication to this great nation. You are loved and cared about more than you know.
Bingo! Sorry, Molly. You might want to stick to those movies because the theatrics of what's really going on in America just shows you've been brainwashed. Well, when we come back, I want to leave you with one little tidbit. It is a reminder of how abjectly obvious the fraud in Fulton County, Georgia was, that the FBI is sniffing out right now. We're going to tune in to a Fulton County election official of 20 years who tells you without hesitation what she saw, and she knew it was BS from go. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Isn't it just so obvious? I love that you've got the black gay dude who's like, well, I'm going to tell, I don't know if he's gay. He seems like it, but whatever. That's judgy. But whatever. Anyway, he's like, yeah, I'm not falling for your crap. If you're going to mutilate yourself, you're in white liberal mutilation, you go do you. I'm tired. I've got stuff to do. I've got bills to pay. I see what's going on. Molly's like, if you don't see what's going on, then you don't care about other people. It's this weird sanctimonious, like do-gooder bubble. They've got to be the heroes. They got to go help people. There's always a victim. You've got to help them. And it's like, well, we're victims. We're victims of a freaking corrupt government. So put a sock in it, take a seat, and zip it. Right? And then the guy at the end. Why is it always the guy with the flag? Why? It would be really difficult.
He's a collaborationist.
He's a collaborationist, yes. It would be very frustrating to be a Democrat because all of your spokespeople suck. They all look deranged, unhinged. They sound dumb. Tammy Duckworth sounds dumb. That elections person in Fulton County who's like, it's Donald Trump causing chaos. She sounds dumb, right? The people on the streets are, right, dumb. It's like, stop. And then you've got Marco Rubio. He's like, look, this is what we're doing and this is why. And you know better, so stop. You know, you've got people on the street who are very able to express themselves. Look, you're not fooling me. Knock it off with the theatrics. Go home and eat a sandwich.
Well,
right?
Let's be honest here. Is it really that hard to turn the camera on yourself and just talk common sense? It's just common sense.
It's so hard, Brock. Only I can do that.
Oh, yeah. it just... And when you're not lying, you don't have to think about it. That's why a lot of conservatives can just, Marco Rubio. I don't need notes because I don't have to remember the lie. I'm telling the truth. So here it is.
Yeah, it was great.
Why does Tammy Duckworth have to read? Because she needs her talking points. When you don't know what you're talking about, I don't need talking points.
Yeah.
You let me talk about certain things, I don't need talking points.
100%. And it was interesting to your point. I went back and I watched it, and it's true. You know how they give him 5 minutes to read your prepared comments? He's like, I know you guys want to get to some questions, so I'm not going to waste your time. You've got my record. You've got my comments for the record, my opening. I'm going to just spend a couple minutes and tell you where we are, not what we've done, but where we're going.
Right.
And he's like, this is where we're going, because you guys are going to want to talk about what we've done.
Well,
and that's fair, but I want you to know this is what we're doing.
One of the things
off the cuff. And he never said,
One of the things they jumped at him with was no bid contracts. You gave these no bid contracts to these oil people, and that they gave to Donald Trump's campaign or whatever. And he's like, no, we didn't. Those people take oil to market so we can get the money right away.
It's their job.
So they can pay handle their payroll for their people. So there's not a revolt.
That's for Venezuela.
Yes, I'm sorry. For Venezuela.
For Venezuela.
And I'm like, makes sense to me.
They don't have income generating. They need it from the oil. The processes don't work. The kind of oil they're getting out needs to be processed. And so what's happening? They have something, an additive they need to buy. They used to buy it from Russia. Now they're buying it from the United States. So the United States is helping them do that. Then they're selling the oil out there, putting in the money in an account, and they're giving it to them. We're not taking it. We're not taking it.
And not just that, like, he's like, this isn't Chevron, this isn't blah, blah, blah.
Right.
This is these people, this is what they do. We won't need them when this oil's gone. They can do it themselves.
They had no way to get the frozen, well, it was
it's just
the seized tankers of oil.
Oh, won't you take me home tonight? Oh.
Radio program. It's like they stopped trying to make it look good. They stopped trying to cover it up. Like the deep state is so used to getting away with everything that they just kind of chucked hiding the evidence to the wind. Right? I mean, can you imagine the gall and the audacity, the brazen nature in the State Farm Arena in Atlanta where they were like, zzzz, where that water main issue allegedly happened, which didn't. They had cameras all over the place. Those people were pulling out those cases full of pristine, never been folded, mailed in ballots. Wink, wink, right? All night long, same batches over and 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 over. There were cameras all over the place. You didn't see anybody try to go up and put some spray paint, the lens. Psh, nothing to see here. They did it out in the open. And then the two broads, the mother-daughter team of suck, got away with it. They got freaking presidential medals of whatever. Are you crazy? No, I'm with you. I want you to hear this woman. Her name is Susie Voiles. She's on with John Fredericks from the John Fredericks Radio Network. She's a 20-year Fulton County election official. She's like, look, I was looking at these ballots here in Fulton County. They were pristine, perfect. They felt so different than anything my fingers have ever felt. And I've been doing this for 20 years. Listen.
The first thing that struck me, though, wasn't the way the ballot was marked. It was how clean these ballots were. And that's where the word pristine came from, because that was the only word that came to me. I said, these are so clean. These are pristine. And I was running my hand over them, and I said to my partner, Barbara, I said, Barbara, look at these. These are almost immaculate. And then I noticed on the bubble that was for Joseph R. Biden, there was a slight eclipse, but I could tell these had been printed. And then as we went through this batch of 110, which should have only been 100, 107 of them all had this little eclipse for Biden. The next thing I saw was I started glancing down the ballot, and every vote on every ballot, both sides, even soil and conservation, was exactly the same.
What about the referendums?
They were exactly the same.
What are the chances of that?
I'd say that's a statistical impossibility. I've done this forever, and most people forget something on a ballot.
And they all voted for the same thing.
They did.
Biden, Ossoff, Warnock, soil and water amendments, it was all the same.
Everything was the same, and they were obviously pre-printed. They tried to tell me the things that they were, but I knew that they weren't that. They couldn't have been adjudicated ballots. These were pre-printed ballots.
It's almost like we all knew that. Same story in Florida, or rather in Arizona. Remember that? Of course. And Susie Voiles, 20-year Fulton County election official, said, look, there were no folds, no creases, no soil, nothing on these. They're supposed to be mail-in ballots. Really? How dumb do you think we are?
There were 800 in this box. Out of all those, there were less than 40 for Trump and 7 for Jorgensen. And as long as I've been doing this, I have never seen odds like that.
So what's that? Somebody do the math. 96%. 95% for Biden. I mean, that's unheard of. Plus soil and water is the same. Amendments are the same. Down ballots the same. Council, mayor, whatever referendums. This is a statistical impossibility, right? So you saw that. And what about the other thing? They weren't folded.
Correct.
No crease.
As I ran my hand over these, there was no wear on them. Even when the ballot is sitting on your kitchen table, soil from your hands gets on there. Soil from somebody else's hands when they're opening the ballot gets on there. These were the cleanest ballots I have ever in my life seen.
Okay, so mail-in ballots with no folds or creases is as obnoxious as a Somalian millionaire in Minnesota. I mean, come on. They don't care how the optics are. They don't care how ridiculous the lie is. They have the machine on their side. But maybe no more. Maybe that's all coming to an end, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot wait. Tomorrow is Friday. Let's wrap it up together and see where we go. Sky's the limit. Thanks for being part of the Wendy Bell Radio program. We'll see you tomorrow. Love you guys. Peace.